for Walmart. Everything else tech related under significant pressure as well, back to the downside for the Nasdaq here. We're right back to session lows. I mean, the sell-off we saw come in about midday yesterday, seemingly continuing here. Valuations in question, a very, very hawkish tone coming from the Fed as well. We are going to get a whole bunch of additional Fed speakers throughout the session today, so keep an eye out for that. But I mean, on one sense, for our case, it's good to see a little bit of volatility back in this market. We've been doing nothing but just floating to the upside for long-term investors, obviously not what they want to see.
Funny though, the Fed speakers come out randomly. Yet the print that we previously got was below expectations. So more self-serving comments from them. Lots to talk about today, guys. NVIDIA in focus as it knocks on the door of that 180 level, down 3%. The morning note has a really good explanation about Michael Bur's short position, why he's talking about depreciation and the mixed accounting practice that he alleges is being engaged in. So the morning note's available now. Apple also much better than expected numbers in China as iPhone sales continue to do very well. Their AMAT, Brendo, Applied Materials, knocking on the door of short sale restricted, down over 7%, and Merck as well with a headline, Brendo, as they look to acquire look to grow through acquisitions. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, there we go. So there's a long list of potential economic data that we could potentially see at some point here. Over, you can see these scrolling. I mean, they might as well just have the rotating clock on this website because nothing is popping up here. But September non-farm payrolls, which was missed, obviously, on October 3rd. Retail sales for September, GDP Q3, which is a preliminary number. There's September PCE, there's September PPI as well, and then October non-farm payrolls, which was missed on November 7th. So again, we've missed more than a month now of economic data with the government coming back into the swing of things here. We should get some of that. They were talking this morning about how the last CPI print, as you were just mentioning here, the last CPI print was only partially collected and then partially deciphered, so they weren't sure whether or not they were going to be able to get that out. But I mean, we'll see. Overall, the market not liking any of this situation at this point, let alone what if we get not one but two jobs numbers here that are worse than expected.
Yeah, the option, obviously, or the expectation for worse numbers always exists in the market, Brendo. So we'll have to see how that comes out.
Yeah.
But it is it's been a choppy week, to say the least. But when we look at the charts, obviously, it doesn't look very good. But we're only about 3% off the highs on some of these. But we're breaking down technical levels. So I was doing a little bit TA on the NQ daily chart, Brendo, and where we tried to defend that 25,000 point area, made another lower high. So from the technicals, looking a little bit like we're going to go a little deeper.
One thing we've seen over the past couple of months here with the government shutdown is yields. Bonds entirely went to sleep. We have been just kind of floating around sideways overall for the bond market. That is the 10-year this morning on a 15-minute chart. So, I mean, again, not a huge move, but we haven't seen any kind of range in yields for the past 2 months. So 414, we'll call it, at the high. So far this morning, we're back down to 4.07 on the 10-year. The 30-year and the 2-year also making moves to the downside here. Dollar under a little bit of pressure as well. A lot of things, guys, we haven't really dealt with for the past couple of months coming back into play, including, yeah, this whole narrative around valuations being a little bit higher than they should be right now, specifically for tech. Sean off today. Obi's in. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, and it's the market's angry today. It's not just, I mean, the valuation story is part of it. The fact that we might not get that rate cut that everyone is looking for in December, those odds have gone down. You can see what's going on with the dollar. Brendan just showed yields. VIX up to almost 23. Bitcoin literally just broke 95,000 again.
Very much.
You probably don't want to look at RIVN today because you don't want to look at anything right now. Oh, Randy still wants to buy the RIVN.
Okay, all right. Yeah, man, I'm looking at that as well. Like VIX pushing up to 22s, 23s. Like, yeah, definitely some dip buying, dip buying times for
15 and a half.
14, 20.
Okay.
Okay, so Randy just said.
Randy's call out right
I don't know if you guys could hear that.
20.
He called out 14. You know how you know Randy was already looking at this chart?
How?
Randy must have woke up looking at the chart because there's a gap fill underneath to about 14 and a quarter, right there. Randy looks at his RIVN chart, so there you go, everybody.
Boom.
I don't know if I would be there. Ooh, it's the 50 period on the daily as well. Yeah, now I really know he was looking at this chart last night and trying to figure it out. But like at the end of the day, we were talking about some of the high fly names that were turning around. I'm gonna look right back into some of those data names for some continuation, like the ones that were the most frothy, and not the most frothy, but like the strongest for the last couple of weeks. Like remember Sandisk?
Yep.
Yeah, like that's what we call the turnaround. It was this name, it was WDC, and Western Digital and Micron that were like the three, I don't know, I guess parabolic movers in the space, and all three of them, like the bigger pullbacks, like the most violent pullbacks, in my opinion, the last couple of sessions. Maybe not Micron. So I'm more focused on SNDK today, of course, maybe some SMCI. But yeah, the other thing you should keep in mind is we've seen when we're down significantly a couple of days in a row, especially on a Friday, where you come in with a lot of short ideas and things that are set up short, but it requires a lot of patience because sometimes that first candle, even the first one or two on a 15 sometimes, can be very powerful and blow people out. You got to be able to be alive to make the trade.
That's for sure.
That's a huge part of trading. You know, being there so that you can get that downward trend, because we were uptrend sometimes for 15, 20, 30 minutes, and then you roll over. So you got to be ready for that.
Yeah, gotta pack your patience, as Sharif likes to say. And yeah, survivability, man. Survivability is the name of the game. Got to manage that risk. That's our number one job here as day traders, is to manage that risk. And yeah, a lot of great names, a lot of continuations. I was kind of pulling a Randy as well, looking at some good charts last night. Some blue ocean trading. Blue ocean has been absolutely beautiful in the overnight session, so that was pretty crazy. Some what was it? Nice little flush. I think Bitcoin broke that 100K as well sometime last night, and the market took a little bit of a puke as well. That was absolutely beautiful. I'm looking at the VIX today, Neil. 2260s here on an hourly chart. We're curling up. We're pushing back up in towards some interesting territory. Now I know. The market landscape kind of shifts when we're VIX above 20, VIX above 25 as well. But yeah, I think, again, going back to what Randy said, buying the dip. I think the DCAs in my account definitely turn on pretty aggressively above 25s and 30s. So I'm waiting and I'm watching and I'm being patient. But intraday, I'm going to be watching the VIX. I'm going to be watching this Nasdaq as well. Hey, Neil, look at that. 25,000, a little bit of pre-market resistance.
A little bit.
Interesting stuff there.
Tiny, teensy little bit of pre-market resistance there. And as rightfully pointed out in the chat,
yes,
there is a name that is up that I'm trying to find, like, why? Why is Circle, of all things, why is Circle up today? It's an interesting question. I didn't really see anything in particular. You could always hazard some guesses out here. One would be that it actually is bouncing off of its IPO, like the first day close price, which was about, I think it was like 82 something. So let's just call it 82 and a half. You could double check and be more accurate, but I think it's bouncing off that area. So it bounced 80, now it's trying to hold that 82 and a half. Kind of came full circle, for lack of a better term. It's been nasty, but you got to figure if there's any bounce in crypto, maybe this could be. I wasn't really thinking, it's not even on the note, I wasn't even thinking of this as a long, but the fact that it's already green, bouncing off technical support, if there is some kind of a relief rally early, this should be on some radars here. Yeah, good look for them. I mean, who knows? I just heard Joe say Tesla. The market just hit the low again, and Tesla 5% down is testing its pre-market lows. It's not alone, everybody. Like, I could show you a million things. MARA at the lows, SMCI at the lows, AMD at the low, NVDA at the low. Like, pretty much everything to said downside. The market's a little bit angry this morning, but we're here to navigate it for you, everybody. I'm pretty sure we'll have Michael coming on through as well, so let's head on back to the desk. I'm sure he has some ideas on technicals on a day like today.
All right, a few other things to talk about here this morning. You guys were mentioning crypto a little bit, but I just brought up a daily chart here of IBIT, and we're officially through all of these levels that we've been dealing with for the past month or so, or 2 months even, going back to the summer. back below 55, back below 54. I mean, if you zoom way out to the beginning of this year, 52, 50 maybe on IBIT coming into play. But man, what a difference a couple of weeks make here for Bitcoin.
110 holding up now. The 100's gone, Brendo. Let's talk. I know you guys are waiting for the liquidations, the ETF inflows and outflows. So here it comes. Spot ETF saw the second largest outflow day ever yesterday with $869.9 million pulled out on Thursday. Ethereum ETFs, Brendo, they also joined the bloodshed. 259.7 million in net redemptions. And let's talk about the leverage positions, because you and I, Joseph and I, always talking about, you know, the 20 times, 100 times leverage positions. If you move $1, you're getting liquidated by your broker. Roughly 1.11 billion in leverage positions were liquidated within 24 hours, sweeping out, Brendo, a little bit less than 250,000 traders and igniting, obviously, what we saw yesterday, which was great intraday volatility.
It's interesting, though. Some of the individual equities, guys, holding up a little bit better here so far this morning. I mean, better on a percentage basis, but I mean, nothing's really better at this point. How many different ways of better can you get on a down day of 3% in some cases? Here comes 280 or so for Coinbase as well. Thoughts on crypto here?
Well, you would have heard me well, it is what it is, man. We showed this flat bottom break and the inevitability of what comes next. And I'm concerned about Coinbase relative to some of its peers. It wasn't participating as well. Then you get all of the, I guess it's really about the competition here for them. They're not as unique as they used to be. And you lose a 200 today. It's weird because I look over at that circle and that just feels like some short could be covering to the upside as it got all the way to the downside, whereas you have something like this which is starting a bit of a capitulation journey that seems like it's headed to 240. This one isn't on my list today. I feel like if I'm shorting something in the space, there was a really good suggestion that was made. Why not look at MARA? Like, I'm looking at ETH and MARA today. ETH, for these reasons, like Coinbase just went, but if you look at ETH, it's at the 200 period moving average. ETHA is right at 23 bucks. So you have a great spot where it's kind of optimally, okay, we're either breaking this down, or if we don't break this down, you can maybe play some kind of a bounce to the upside. But also pretty interested to see what Michael has to say about crypto, because I know he is a trader of some of those crazy tokens that cannot be doing well this morning.
Yeah, let's bring him in. Michael Noss on a Friday morning here. As per usual, happy end of what has been a very red week. Once again, Mr. Noss, we're dealing with volatility, question mark? I mean, I just saw the VIX is at 22. So, yeah, a little bit better than 17, but I mean, could be a lot worse here, right? But you went looking for positivity in this market.
That's what I do. And, you know, for the main reason, I guess, for people who don't know, is that if the world doesn't come to an end, generally speaking, there's just this whole concept of relative strength. I know you guys talk about it for day trading and everything all the time, is our brain is kind of, and our eyes are naturally focused on the things that are getting beat up the worst and having the worst time. However, if you look at the stuff that is holding up well during this little sell-off, I think we're down, 3% or so from all-time highs. The stuff that's getting killed, I don't want to touch that. The stuff that's down like 20-30% already when we're just down 3%. Anything holding on is interesting to me, and that's what I'm going to chat about today.
Yeah, the area or corner of the market, not one we typically look at or discuss, but I mean, it kind of goes hand in hand with what we've been talking about, what you and I have been talking about for the past couple of weeks here, and that is the concept, at least, of rotation and getting a little bit more or getting other parts of the market actually involved in this move higher.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of that. Healthcare, for example, over the last 3 days or 4 days have just been ripping, right? This isn't a healthcare stock, but not only do I want to show you kind of what I'm looking at for this individual name, but also how I got there and, some data to back up this particular trade and trading style. So this is just something I just grabbed from the internet that talks about kind of a power earnings gap. So that is the setup we're going to look at, and that's the stock is from this setup, and I'm going to kind of show some prior examples and everything, and just talk a little bit here for a second about why I think that these work. And it's simply because fundamentals, when you have a fundamental shock, sometimes it can take a little bit to cycle into what's actually happening with the underlying stock. And as a technician and a quant, I don't really know or understand or really care to know what is going on from a fundamental point of view. But these gaps, especially things that have been gapping up, and I think especially things that have been gapping up in a really bad market, shows that we are kind of ignoring what's going on overall because this one name and this one stock has had a really good result. So the main kind of components of these power earnings gaps, and I'll show you back tests that I have in a second, is that one, we want a strong gap up on strong volume, something that clears multiple prior highs, gets us out of any kind of a range. It's just a very clear gap that, yes, this is strong, everyone likes this, whatever they said in the conference call or drug announcement or whatever it was good. Then we want it not to fall apart. And this is the one example I have here. Ideally, a green close. In this case, it was kind of flattish, but showing that when it gapped up and when the market opened, there wasn't institutions waiting there to really take advantage of selling and saying, oh, we finally got a gap up in this awful name I don't like, it's time to sell. So a gap up, some sort of green close, that's what we're looking for this actual setup. And the next chart here is just the back test. Now, this is something that I haven't fully systematized yet. I still have some work to do, but the green line is essentially taking this particular setup that I'm going to teach you today and then holding it for it's a moving average kind of stop out, and the red line there is the S&P 500. So you can see that over time this outperforms the S&P 500. One thing that I really like about it is that the pullbacks aren't that big on this equity curve, and I think the reason for it is probably you just don't get a lot of gap ups that hold that gap up and do really well and really strong when you're having down markets. So I think there's probably a bit of a when the market is doing good, there's lots of trades, and when the market is doing poorly, there's less trades to have. So you're kind of spending most of your time in a lot of cash. So here's some recent examples just to show you before I go over the one we're looking at. This next chart here is, this is Frog, I think. And again, the setup is pretty simple. There's some optimization in it, right? Some secret sauce that I keep. But again, the premise is you're looking for a gap up, and you're looking for that gap up to clear the last months or so of range and a strong close. So you can see that, we had the gap up, we had the green close, and the setup, the rules for the system are pretty simple. And I always try to keep that to be the case. I think that's the way to do it when you're trading, is that you want to have a very simple entry, a very simple exit rule. So the entry rule is just the next day's open. So you can see on Frog, there's a little kind of buy ticket there. It's probably small on the screen. And you're just buying the next day's open. If it gaps up and it closes green, and then your exit is a close under a 5-period moving average. And there was some optimization done there. Again, I just ran the system and said, test every moving average and tell me which one's the best. Anywhere from a 3 to an 8 worked great, even up to a 10. A short-term moving average is what you're looking for. So the power of this is a couple-fold. One is that when you're really right, something can run in your direction for a very long time. And when you're wrong, generally you'll come and you'll cross that moving average pretty quickly. You can see this was a flat trade on Frog. One more example here on APPN that happened and actually just exited, I believe, yesterday. And you can see big gap up above a whole bunch of prior range, very strong green candle and green close. And then that moving average, that's just the 5-period moving average. We got a dip below that. So that's when you exit your trade. So that's the idea. That's the premise, and that's what we're looking to do. And then the stock here I have on the next one is a tanker company. So ECO Tankers, and I'm looking at it. I have it here. We are gapped down a little bit this morning. We're kind of hanging out right around yesterday's close or yesterday's low. Sorry, so that's not too big of a deal. But first, this is a zoomed out look, and then you can see the little tiny gap. And one thing that I really like about it is that even in the bad market we had yesterday, this thing gapped into new all-time highs. That new all-time highs was a clear resistance point and it closed green. So it had, new all-time highs are great because, everyone who's short is wrong. Everybody who is buying it and is bullish, they're right. So all the longs are happy and all the shorts are unhappy. So last chart here is just a little bit of a zoomed in look for what it looked like yesterday. And again, you can see that nice strong gap. This particular one happened because of an earnings report. Doesn't necessarily have to be the case, but again, we want that strong gap on strong volume and then that green close. So unaffected by the sell-off that we had in the overall market yesterday. Getting pulled a little bit down today, but again, we're around that close. That purple line that I drew, that is those prior highs that I mentioned as well. And then the blue line is the 5-period moving average, which you can see are right about the same area. So again, my game plan with this is I'm going to watch it on the open if we're not just completely falling apart in the market and in this stock. I'm going to buy it on the open. I'm going to exit it when it closes below that 5-day moving average. And just wanted to show, again, a little bastion of light in the dark right here and just how systematic trading makes it like super simple to navigate markets like this. I've already got my plan. I just have to sit and watch and wait.
It's interesting. We sat here yesterday morning, in a market that was not as red as it is this morning, but just pointing at something like a Nike at that point that was up on an upgrade when it seemed like the rest of the market was under pressure. You can always find those opportunities, the relative strength, relative weakness, as you were saying. Just real quick on a strategy like this, is it one of those concepts where you can almost overanalyze the idea from a standpoint of, if I put too much data into this, it almost becomes a little bit blurry?
Yeah, and I think that's a part of the problem with people who kind of initially get into systematic trading or quant trading or whatever you want to call it, is they keep trying to make the system more and more and more complicated till not only they're confused about what it is that they're trying to accomplish, but trading it and actually implementing the system, it becomes complicated. And because there is no perfect system out there, the whole premise and what I do is I try to trade multiple systems. So if I'm trading 5 or 6 different systems and they all have an incredibly complex rule set, it becomes nearly impossible just to keep track of everything and what you should be doing at any given moment. So very much, if you're looking to get into this game, don't try to look for the perfect thing that's the most amazing system that's right all the time, because it doesn't exist. And I think you just make yourself way more complex in the topic. So ECO is a perfect example. Either we hold the 5-period MA and the thing takes off and I make some money, or it breaks down and I'll lose a bit.
Let's see what happens
really
today.
need to
Great
think
stuff.
Further.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, in days like this, I want to think as little as possible, because every time I look down my screen, everything's more and more red. So the more I can shut off my brain and just follow a plan, the easier days like this are.
Yes, I just, Palantir popped up in front of me, now down 5% on the morning. So gapping through anything that even resembled a level here for PLTR. Michael Noss, have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday.
See you Monday.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Michael. And Monday is going to be important, everybody. Look, today, Friday is always, it's options expiration. We're expecting some volatility here and today. But oftentimes, I was actually looking at the stock that Michael was talking about, but that ECO. Wish there was a little more volume on that one. Kind of interesting for a trade, but not a lot of volume. I think Monday is going to be very, very telling for us, at least for the market in general. Because regardless of what happens today, when the weekend goes and we see how crypto goes over the weekend, whether you get a run at that low 90s on Bitcoin and how it reacts to that, then Monday morning comes in and most of the, everyone knows the history, right? Most of the crazy, really bad days or sometimes really good days are happening on Mondays as opposed to on Fridays, right? There's a reason for that. And I think today's still going to be volatile. Don't get me wrong. I plan to, you have some wider stops on things, let some things bleed. I'm looking at that SanDisk. I'm willing to let this work into 45, 50 before the short. It's either breaking down right away or we're waiting for it to get into it could be $10 higher from where it is to play a secondary short. That's just how it's going to be. So I'll still treat it like it's going to be really volatile, but I think Monday might be a bigger deal for the overall tone of the market. But what's always a big deal is upgrades, downgrades, and some options plays.
Oh, what's going on? Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is having a fantastic Free Fall Friday. All right, let's take a look at what we got going on this morning, guys, on some of the upgrades and downgrades, and then we will take a look at some of the options activity, most definitely, guys. All right, at the top of the list, we got Gap Clothing, Gap Inks, guys, getting that price target raised by Jeffries. What's up, SGG? 213, and then we got MP Materials by JP Morgan with that price target raised to $74. Slightly red on the session, 1.5%. OZ, what's up, brother? Shake Shack, Loop Capital giving this one the nod, guys, $127. So they're cooking up there at 1.3% on the day, going oppo of the overall market. Now, some of these chip names not too good in the tech space this morning as we see the likes of Tesla down, NVDA, and maybe some more catch-ups to play. What's up, J-Tom? Now, we got Morgan Stanley giving them the nod price target to $220. Now, we're down 3 1/5 on the day. Always cold gold bills. Applied Materials, guys, going to be on the downgrade side. We're getting that target lower to 205 by Mizuho. We're down 7 3/4 roughly on the session. And then Circle as well, too, guys. Price target to $70. Now, JD.com, that was a short yesterday. Bank of America lowering that price target to $38. And then we have RCAT, yes, Red Cat, down 16% in the morning. Needham and Company lowering that price target to $12. Now let's take a look at some of the put activity. Here it is, IBIT. Open interest at that $54 level. I was thinking that we're going to head into a supply zone there, but if there's enough demand, we can continue to move a little bit lower. That is going to be expiring today with 7,370 contracts traded on yesterday's session. Now, as for Microsoft, this is going to be next week's expiration, guys. We got open interest still relatively high, around 8,900, and then the volume at that specific $500 strike price is 1,090 there. So, all right, so 1,910, sorry. And then also Tesla, guys, I was thinking we're going to head into another supply zone here, but doesn't seem to be the case. We have open interest around 23,100, and the volume on yesterday's session at that specific strike was 29,800. That is going to be expiring next Friday, guys. Now, on to the contract of the day. This might be the SPY, that 670 strike price. I was looking at this as a potential floor, but now you can see we have breached that and are trading a couple points lower. So not too good. Maybe the momentum is going to continue to the downside. Open interest, 26,800, but a whopping 116,000 contracts traded at that 670 strike price. A lot going on. You can see the bid and the ask relatively tight, only $3 or so. Now, as for the delta with your puts, it's always going to be negative, right? So we got 0.37, so it's still relatively high. The gamma exposure isn't insane, but it's something to be alarmed about. And then the at-the-money IV as well, too, at 19.3%. We're used to seeing that a little bit cooler, right? Around 10%, 8% or so. So the downward trajectory still might be intact here today, guys, on today's session. But just go with the flow. As Michael Nas said, you don't want to think too much. Just go where the price action is and follow the volume, guys.
Oh, that's a lot to look at, lot to digest. Joe, appreciate it. I was actually looking at one of those names. I'm reminded, and thank you for the upgrades and downgrades, because it reminded me about JD. Yesterday, I was like, wake us up when this stock is actually breaking one way or the other, because it's not doing anything. And it looks like it has a chance to break the 52-week low. It actually bounced off it just barely this morning. So if 29.5 goes on JD.com, we have a graphic for that one. I might as well use it. Yeah, that would be a flat bottom break for JD. But look, there's a lot to watch today. If you're looking at chips, which I am, you're looking at crypto, Bitcoin and ETH, MARA in particular for a trading vehicle, there's going to be a lot to watch here today. But I am adding JD to the list. If we close the first 15-minute bar underneath $29.5, then I'm looking short on that name. That's a flat bottom break.
Yeah, out of those names there, Neil, MP stood out to me the most. We know that that's been a little bit of an interest in the crowd as of recent, and most recently off of earnings. On the initial reaction, we kind of sold off, but we caught a bid, and the market digesting that a little bit decently a couple days following off, and we've pulled back. So I'm putting on the anchored here. In the pre-market session, we kind of pulled back off of that as well. So yeah, a little bit of an upgrade today. I saw NVIDIA was on there as well, but we know what the market's doing. As of right now, I don't know if that's going to help with any sort of a bid, but MP Materials definitely on watch as well. You know, you can see here in the pre-market session, the spikes in relative volume as well. So yeah, I'm definitely watching this. We're coming back into those earnings day one levels here as well. If we're going to reject this 59 and come back into some of these consolidation lows at 54, I think it could be interesting. Again, hot names, they were kind of hot over the past couple of weeks. They could have some residuals coming in as well with some upgrade attention.
Those stocks have the Joey chills. Oh, all those charts. Although you gotta ease up on Joey chills. It is cold in here.
It's a little chilly. That's why I got the thick sweater. You know.
My sweater's not thick. What? Sharif is laughing like it's funny. Like it's cold in here. Not everyone wears a t-shirt when it's like probably like under room temperature. And
dude, not everyone has like 200 pounds of muscle generating heat for them at all times. Come on,
you said it.
Come on.
Truth. Straight up truth. Let's go back to the desk, like get into this, get into our rundown, get into the watch list, everybody. Ooh, 30 minutes till the open, and we're expecting some action.
67.60, guys. That's where we closed out yesterday on the ES December. You're killing me, Joe. December contract. We're bleeding, guys. We are down markedly here, over 1%, and we're coming in to important technical areas. Take a look at the low that we made back on the 7th. That took us down to 66.50. If we lose 66.50, that will be a lower low, and that will be a clear break of trend. So I'm looking for us to hold up, Brendo, at that 66.50 with the overnight low being 66.77. If we catch a bid, we're looking to 67.50, that closing print, that defensive area that we defended on the 13th as resistance.
Everybody wanted to pull back. Careful what you wish for. It might come very quickly here. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you grab the absolutely free watch list. Comes right to your inbox every single morning. Link is below in the description. All you have to do is enter your email address, and then that just shows up, has everything on it that's moving around in the pre-market. Let's talk about valuations here a little bit. I mean, NVIDIA, you can pick any of these because they're all going to look relatively the same this morning. This kicked off yesterday. I mean, NVIDIA did lead the way out of the gate yesterday to the downside, but a hawkish Fed, again, talking a little bit about the possibility of maybe not cutting rates in December, and that instantly set alarms off about, okay, so the market's overheated officially at this point. Inflation creeping back to the upside, I get it, but I mean, there's an argument both ways I think you can make for these stocks.
Absolutely, Brendo. I mean, it could be on sale or there could be something bigger here. Let's talk about what's going on with NVIDIA. It's the Burry argument here that depreciation of these assets is being miscalculated from an accounting sense. So let's talk about it. So depreciation assumptions are emerging as a critical factor. It determines how long companies assume expensive assets like NVIDIA's GPUs remain useful. A shorter lifespan inflates the cost and hurts earnings, while longer estimates improve reported profitability. So what's going on here? So companies currently estimate their server or GPU lifespans anywhere, Brendo, from 2 to 6 years. There's really no historical track record because NVIDIA's only been making them since 2018. But CoreWeave steps in here and gives us a different view. They say their older chips are still holding stronger values. For example, the A100, which was made back in 2020, remains fully booked, and the H100s, Brendo, which are 2022, are basically being sold at 95% of their original price, how much they were renting them out for back in 2022. So basically holding on to margins. Skeptics are pushing back, mainly Michael Bur. He's claiming that the real GPU useful lifespan is anywhere between 2 to 3 years, and he's basically citing rapid obsolescence and intense refresh cycles driven by NVIDIA and AMD obviously releasing newer and newer chips. So again, something we don't really know because we haven't been in this AI cycle for all that long.
And this obviously going back to the positions we were talking about a little bit last week with Burry picking up a number of put options on NVIDIA. I was just double checking here. I was hearing VIX spiking again. I'm not actually seeing that. We're still around 22 and a half on the VIX. So, I mean, some of these stocks starting to bounce a little bit, including NVIDIA here, back to the upside, guys. So keep an eye out for any headlines. But thoughts here for NVIDIA, yes, but valuations overall.
Like it's easy enough to understand the point that Michael Bur is making, but does it end up mattering is the real question. Now, ultimately, the reason why things are pulling back probably has nothing to do with that. People have been thinking that this has been somewhat of a house of cards and gone too far in a lot of a sense. But we have made a pretty decent pullback on NVIDIA. Like NVIDIA, it's under the 50 period, but if you look at it, it's at some support here. And this is exactly where it bounced if you go back to like last Friday. Like, look at what happened last Friday. I mean, if this doesn't say, okay, don't be so absolutely sold that it's all flush from here. If this doesn't break the low, I'm expecting a little bit of a bounce here. And if we get that bounce, it's not necessarily NVIDIA that I'd want to fight. It's the ones that were a little more high flying. Like NVIDIA's pulled back. I don't know if that's the one I want to fight. Maybe you think about it when it's at the 50 period, 185, but even that's pretty tight. I'm thinking SNDK, I'm thinking SMCI, like the names that are, like this one unwinding to me has way more to go if there's really a sell-off. So if we get pushed up by this bounce that we're sort of already seeing, I'm thinking 45 to 50 on SNDK, and then SMCI has been like an everyday short. I'm always looking at the prior day close or lows for a push back up and then following view up in those names. And I think you can I would throw AMD maybe last on that list for myself if it pushes and again back into the high 240s, 250s. I just feel like SNDK has a better chance to get to the levels I want to short if we get any kind of a market bounce. But you're on some support right now for NVIDIA.
Yeah, definitely some support that's very, very obvious when you kind of look right at the chart. I have a lot of indicators and technicals on here from the beginning of the year, and I just pulled up a 3-hour chart just looking at it from the beginning of the year. Bit of a balance here. Initial part of the year, you know, we kind of dipped down. We had that 17% pullback on the markets. We rallied from April. We hit a high of 212s as of recent, just last month, and then pulling back into this consolidation. Now, this consolidation, guys, we've been kind of sideways chopped for about, 84 trading days, or 84 days it says here. So from July to like October, we've been in about that flat consolidative range, and we're coming into, like Neil said, some support areas. Now, I know these are a lot of lines here, but I just want to point out some of these purple ones where, yeah, we're coming into some of these anchored, some supports that have been holding over and over again. You can see it here a little bit better on a 15-minute chart, where you can see some of these lows are trending and holding really, really well. And coming into this morning today, after some aggressive selling in the beginning of the week, the middle of the week, and coming into the end of the week now, we're coming into that support area 180s as well. So that prior low right here is sitting at 79 and some change, I'm pretty sure. 78, 178.91 is that prior low on NVIDIA. So I'm definitely gonna be watching that price level. Let's see what the market has in store for us today. Maybe some chips with the dip.
Ooh, I like that.
Tesla here trying to bounce as well. Made a bit of a double bottom here so far this morning around 382, but still down significantly 3 days in a row here now for Tesla to the downside. I was just going through a list of the worst in this 2-day sell-off. Tesla is currently number 2, 10.5% in 2 days for Tesla. Palantir topping that list at 11%.
Jeez.
Palantir, as we just said, just surpassed 5% on the day so far this morning. Tesla with some power wall issues here today.
Yeah, we got this late yesterday, Brenda, around 2:30, so it's not breaking news, but let's talk about it because we didn't report to you guys on it yesterday in the morning. They were calling 10,500 power wall 2 units after, a safety commission flagged a defect causing overheating, causing smoke, flames. There is risk of serious injury or death, so we shouldn't make light of this. The issue is tied to a third-party battery cell defect. Tesla will not disclose the supplier, at least not yet. There were 22 overheating reports, including 5 fires, but Most notably, the newer Powerwall 3 units are not impacted by this issue. So Powerwall is a core product, Brendo, in Tesla's energy division, and the energy division is basically their fastest growing segment right now, growing 44% year over year in the last quarter, bringing in about $3.42 billion.
Yeah, so I mean, if you zoom out, you'll see we're through most of the recent levels here for Tesla, guys, but I mean, if we can start to hold this 380, 382 area, it might be constructive.
I would say that's constructive, but I'm more thinking holding 360 to 367. Like that's the area when I'm looking at the chart outside of the 200 period moving average, it's like that break. And look, this is sort of the thing, like that 420. It could have obviously can go either way, and the market's going down, so that's the way it went. So you have a gap fill to about 360 to 367. Like if things get out of hand, then this is a name outside of like the SNDKs and the crypto names of the world that you just, there's so much room, you almost want to join. It's diddling in the middle for me right now, so there's just, I don't see a trade here off of the open. Obviously, it's easy to say if it gets to the prior low on a crazy move in the 400s, yeah, sure, fine. I'd probably take a shot at a reversion. Like 99% chance I would if I saw a reversion up there. But given how far, it's 10 to 15 bucks from the high, it's 10 to 15 bucks from where I think the support is, doesn't really set up the way some other things do on some very, very key levels. But if we're looking at the longer stretch, I do think it seems we're headed for a retest of 60 to 67. And this is one of the reasons the symmetry was so good here. 220, bottom, that was the April low. You could have bought it like 3 times. 220, 222, that's my number. And then you had the 330, which is essentially a 50% move, and look at how long it held that base level. And then you had 440, which is literally a double from that exact same price. And look at how long it held that base level. I can't even think of a time that it was so clear that the dip buy gave you, there's your 50% for a few months. There's your 100%, there's your double up for a couple of months as well. And if you don't take things like that, sometimes this is what happens to you. So I think we are still headed to those 360s. Don't know if I'd be an auto buyer there today. Certainly Monday morning would be an interesting level.
A little bit of breakdown of structure is what happened yesterday. And even, I was mentioning before, even during the overnight session in Blue Ocean, this 400 could not hold up really well. That was actually a beautiful trade size showing up at that 400. You could just eat through that, and then it just down even lower. I think it dropped down to like 380s and some change. Pre-market lows currently at 380.98. And you can see already, I'm looking at the rest of the Mag 7 here, and in terms of relative volume, Tesla is doing the most relative volume. I've mentioned this before. When a Mag 7 stock does anything above 2 times relative volume, that is distinctly different. Guys, Tesla, this pre-market is doing 5 to 6 times relative volume. So I'm definitely going to have it on watch. This breakdown is absolutely crazy here. That was really nice. I'm looking to see if there's going to be any sort of a continuation in the move today. Do we catch a bid? Market dependent, of course, but some key levels that Tesla's coming into on the day. Relative volume, very, very distinct in the pre-market. I do want to point that out.
Just reading a note here for Michael Saylor and strategy specifically, but shocking no one, Sharif. Michael Saylor has said he expects Bitcoin to rally from here.
I hope so.
On CNBC, that was about 15 minutes ago, and then said he'll update his position Monday. So coming up on Monday, we'll have probably more buys from strategy.
Yeah. Look out for that. That's exactly what I'm thinking here. I just want to mention before we get into the ETF and outflows that we spoke about earlier here, analyst Ted Pillows, he says that the 3 prior BTC bear market bottomed with a death cross, and he's warning that another death cross is forming now. So keep an eye on those technicals. There seems to be kind of the opposite. Everybody looks for a death cross for continued selling. He's saying, no, the death cross is actually signaling the bottom, not my words, his. Let's talk about the spot Bitcoin ETFs. We saw the second largest outflow day ever, Brenda, with $869.9 million pulled out. Ethereum also joined the bloodshed, $259.7 million in redemptions, and $1.11 billion dollars in leverage positions were liquidated in 24 hours, which swept out 248,500 traders and igniting that intraday volatility that we saw. Just quick technical support here for Ethereum and Solana. They're saying 2.5 million 2.5 3 million added at around 3,150, which is, they're saying, basically an important base for Ethereum. Same thing for Solana. They're saying at about $144 with deeper support at 124.
I haven't looked for a while, but looks like this was updated last in the beginning of November. But I mean, a couple of sources here saying, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different sources saying Michael Saylor's average price is still around 74,000.
That's fantastic.
So he should be, yeah, loading up here. But if you zoom way, way out, this is a weekly chart for Bitcoin. Go all the way back to the beginning of the year. That's about 90,000 that we sat on the first time we got above 90,000, came back, sat there for a while before breaking back down. But maybe 90, guys?
I mean, Michael Saylor thinks Bitcoin will rally. Okay, and I think the Toronto Blue Jays are going to win the World Series next year. I think the Buffalo Bills are going to win this week. I think pineapple doesn't belong on pizza. All of those statements are pretty much the way you would verify, like if I was like abducted by aliens or something was going on weird. If I didn't believe those things, then you'd know something's up. And the same thing with Michael Saylor. Like, who cares? What is interesting is that he has an average price at a major support level. So I think things get really hairy if you lose this support in the 72 to 74,000 area. And we're not there yet, but there is. And I want to thank you, a few viewers that are like, Neil, you can add a 5th line to your chart because I really only have 4 lines on my Bitcoin chart. That's all I care about. And I think we're testing on the precipice here about 91 and 92, that next support level. And you've also got a pretty solid trend line, and it's all lining up. And if that breaks, I think you can get to the low 70s pretty quick if we lose this. Now, all that said, today I'm kind of looking at ETH for a couple of reasons. I'll show you the daily chart on ETH. There it is. ETHA is at the 200 period moving average and trying to bounce off 23. But there's another look here that I just had up that I wanted to show you, which is this little bit of support that we had yesterday. It's about 31.5. Like, there's a breakdown area where there can be a short into that low break and then into 3,000. Obviously, if we're breaking this out at 31.5, it's a patience game. And if we end up rallying, then I know where I want to take the reversion, and it's in MARA. And this is one, it's been beat up. Obviously, Bitcoin goes down, this goes down even more. The first place I'm looking is the prior day 13. That's the first shot. So if ETH doesn't settle, if we just go shooting up, there's no ETH trade for me. If we do go shooting up, then I'm waiting for the reversion on MARA in particular. 13 first, 14 second. So those are the 2 names in crypto that I'm watching, ETHA and MARA. And we'll see what happens. I'm still thinking that we're getting a little bit of bounce going into this open.
Yeah, Bitcoin finally back below 100. I think that happened sometime last night, and we're trading a little bit lower coming into this morning as well. So in terms of affiliated vehicles to crypto, I'm looking at Coinbase here, Neil. So Coinbase, let's just do a top down quickly. Weekly chart. This is what the weekly is looking like on Coinbase. We've been making higher highs and higher lows here. A little bit of a base here at 145s, and this is what we're coming down off of, a 400 rejection here on Coinbase, breaking this structure low as of the past couple of weeks, and a bit of follow through coming into this end of the week as well. So that's what I have on watch here. Let's go specifically and see what's happening here in the pre-market session. Already doing over, over 2 times relative volume in the pre-market session with a low of 266. We've traded below this weekly low as well. Continuation from yesterday. Yesterday's low, surprisingly enough, a flat, clean 280, and then in the pre-market can't even get past that as well. So that weakness definitely coming up and showing up here on Coinbase. Now we just have to wait and see if Bitcoin's going to have that continuation coming in off of the open to see if we can take out some of these pre-market levels, whether they're the highs, that 280 is going to be interesting, or the lows at 266s as well. Both well within range, well within the ATR of what this stock can do today. So Bitcoin definitely on watch, but when it comes to a vehicle, I'm going to be watching Coinbase.
All right, some earnings to get through here. Just hearing another headline there for the overall market. There are going to be Fed speakers today, guys, so just be aware. Long list again of Fed speakers coming through. Here is a daily chart of StubHub. If you remember, this thing came to market going back to September and has done nothing but go straight down and then sideways for a few months here. But we're down here this morning. So, yeah, there's not much left as far as price to look for here.
Yeah, that looks like a flat bottom break. That looks like definitely like a bear flag there. That's a bad drop, dropping 20% after hours, guys. The first real big move down since that September IPO. The company reported $4.27 loss per share, guys, heavily impacted by a $1.4 billion one-time stock-based compensation. It was tied to the IPO back in September. Revenue did come in at $468.1 million, beating the expectations and rising 8% year over year, but that net loss ballooned, Brendo, $1.33 billion compared to the $46 million they lost last year, so not a good look. The CEO, Eric Baker, said StubHub, they're not going to provide Q4 guidance, citing variable ticket sales and timing and unpredictable release cycles. They're taking the long-term approach, he says, and he emphasized that live event demand still remains extremely strong. Now, here's the actual numbers, not just commentary. Gross merchandise sales rose 11% year over year to $2.43 billion. But if we exclude, Brendo, Taylor Swift's Era Tours, which inflated last year's numbers, obviously, GMS was actually about 24%. So a little accounting there.
I don't even know how you do that. Like, how do you have $470 million in revenue and lose $1 billion? Like, how do you even do that? That's unreal. Not good. Anyways, guys, for Stub.
No, it's not good at all. And yeah, they need narratives for every single year, apparently. That's going to be important for them. There's nothing to like about it. There's really nothing to like about it. Like you can find levels on these by trying to find valuation rounds prior to when they did the IPO, and then you can sort of back work, you know, what like a major influx pre-IPO like a year before could have had a certain value, and then you can figure out what the dollar value might be, and then there's a bid, all that kind of stuff for some support. I would just say it like this: like, it was at 20, you know, we broke down 16. Like, I'd probably look at the next $4 down and think that might be a place where it could catch a bid. That's about it. I'm not going to trade StubHub today, unless, like, it's so far from that gap breakdown that the continuation, it's a tricky one. It's just, I'd be playing it only off of every single even dollar, and there's not enough volume yet. So I need to really like something I saw in the first 15 or 20 minute candles. Instead, the eyeballs are going to be, like I said, on MARA, SanDisk, SMCI, and ETH as well. And that's the thing. You have to know what pocket you want to be in at the open at 9:30. This is one you really need to see the volume come in. It's been bleeding. You can pull up a bunch of IPOs from this year that look eerily similar in terms of finding a bottom, and this one just broke it. Like, forget about the fact that we were just looking at, it was Circle that was trying to find the low and is trying to bounce. Like, this one broke the low. Nasty, absolutely nasty. Don't know where the bottom is on this.
Yeah, it just, when something's been consolidating like that, especially like StubHub IPO, a lot of people were interested in it. A lot of people kind of interested in a few IPOs this year. We were just talking about this earlier, how some of those IPOs are doing now. Absolutely beautiful swing shorts. I'm just going to put that out there. But $15 breakdown here, 16.11s was this consolidation low for about since September to now, so just for a couple of months there. And yeah, continuation, that's what I'm watching for as well. Let's see if it cracks any lower. I'm looking at this as it's an SSR, so don't forget. When we talk about the SSRs, it's just like, okay, well, the SSR mechanic off of the open can be very telling. If you see people hitting the bid off of the open, you know who's selling. It's people who already have inventory, and that can give you a little bit of an inkling of direction and sentiment, perhaps. But that $15 level and some of these pre-market levels, I'm definitely watching on StubHub. Bit of a failed IPO from this year.
Yeah, OB being nice here.
Hey.
A bit of a failed IPO. That's just unreal. Let's go to Google here to wrap things up. There's an EU headline for Alphabet this morning, but 270 if you zoom out here, probably the next stop, which was that little consolidation again on a daily chart. But I mean, a lot of these charts looking the same in the sense that we had that, you know, consolidation at the highs, and now a lot of them are broken.
It's tough, yeah. It's a tough breakdown, Brendo. Let's talk about what's going on with Google here. The EU looking to break them up on their ad tech revenue. So Google's under heavy scrutiny as the European regulators push for that structural remedy. They're looking for a potential breakup of its ad tech business, specifically, guys, the sale of AdX. So the EC fined Google, as you recall, about 3 billion, a little bit less than 3 billion euros back in September for using its dominant ad tech tools to reinforce its AdX central role. Regulators here are saying, look, Google's behavior has harmed competitors, they've harmed publishers, advertisers, and they've created deep conflicts of interest across the advertising stack. Google's not taking that, obviously, lying down. Instead, they're look, instead of selling some of our business, we're submitting a plan to make it easier for publishers and advertisers to use non-Google ad tech tools. The proposal here for the EU kind of mirrors the one that they already submitted to the Department of Justice. Some key concessions here include allowing publishers to set different minimum prices for different bidders and increasing the interoperability of Google tools and or third-party ad tech. But look, Brendo, the EU is closely aligned with the Department of Justice on this specific issue. Very rare, but we'll have to see how they do. We saw when they removed the regulatory overhang about the divestiture of Chrome and stuff like that, how much the stock rocketed. Yeah. So regulatory scrutiny could, put pressure on that again.
That being said, I think this is also, I mean, I said this yesterday as well, the EU, every time they get into a situation where they maybe need a little bit of funding.
Absolutely.
They look for these types of handouts. So, I mean, they pay a bill and then move on with life. That's typically what happens with these types of things. That said, though, guys, Alphabet looking about the same here, 3 days in a row downside.
It's not like the government tries to get funding from places that don't have money, right? Like you got to get the money from somewhere, so you go get the money from the people that have the money. And they got all the money. 260, look, I think we're still headed a little bit lower, like 258 to 260. That's a prior local high, and that is your 50-period moving average. Doesn't seem super likely we get there on Google today. That's why it didn't make the list. But there is a Mag 7 name that did, and that is Apple. One of the only stocks that is, like, show me a stock where you get to still trade the range that it's been in the last 2 weeks with Apple, which is effectively long the 267. And short it once it gets to like 275-ish or so. All that said, I am also willing to play, if we close the first 15-minute bar, holding yesterday's support, that 272.5, if you start holding that, then like some breakouts for like a kind of like a scalp trade into 74, 75 before looking for the top end of the fade. Very few stocks are going to have the structure of just look at a 15-minute for the last 2 weeks and trade off the key levels as Apple does. So that allows me to kind of look at this one off of the open a little bit more than others where I might give it some time. So I prefer that to Google. Just a quick look at the imbalances. NEO's to sell 1.7 million, QBTS 700,000, BBAI 600,000 to sell, Cisco 500,000 to sell, Rigetti 450,000 to sell. You can see a common theme, and that is it is all sells except for SOX L, apparently. All sell imbalances here early on a Friday where the market's been down. It's a weird thing to say, but sometimes that exact lineup leads to a bounce.
Yeah, I think for Tesla, that 275 is going to be interesting for me as well. 277, look at that flat bottom low from yesterday, man. 277 is clean every single time it came into it, and we're breaking below that low today on Tesla. Not only that, we're breaking below this multi-day consolidation that we've been holding from earnings as well, and that's coming in at 275s. So got all those on watch. I guess earnings eve, the day before earnings, we had that strong push into the close, and then on the earnings reaction, we accelerated up to 299.50s there. So that day low I'm watching as well. That's coming in just shy of 267s. I think that's 266s and some change. Let's get specific. 267.05, okay. 267.05 is that area, and some prior day support there as well. So let's see if we can come back into some prior supports here on the day today on Google. Did I say Tesla? I felt like I might have said Tesla for a second. I'm like, wait.
When you start saying numbers starting with a 200,
yeah,
you make people crap their pants, man.
This is not Tesla's chart. Yeah, exactly, right? Especially for Tesla. I'm like, wait, didn't we just break 400 last night?
You might want to be wearing the brown pants today, though, anyways, just because of how things are looking, for real. Only about 30 seconds to go. Look, understandably, this is one of those days, we say it all the time, it's a Friday already, a lot of market volatility. This is one where be patient, You don't want to get run over. You want to stay alive. We got all the action for you, but the final bell of the week, and I think Mondays will be probably potentially even crazier. Well, we're dropping for the final time this week. Markets looking a little bit red. Let's see how it goes in 3, 2, and 1. And we're off to the races. Although not crazily off to the races anywhere. First things first, you always look at NVIDIA, like what are we doing here with NVIDIA? Slight bounce, like we're not really screaming off this open. It was all sell imbalances, but you're not seeing any crazy moves. As a matter of fact, I'm seeing MARA bounce, I'm seeing Apple bounce, I'm seeing SNDKs bouncing. Pretty much everything I'm looking at is trying to take that initial bid. Because I wasn't looking long, that means I gotta be really, really patient here.
Yeah, I'm watching this Tesla as well. Tesla's coming in with a bit of a bid here, and the market, yeah, consolidating so far. Let's take a quick look at these Mag 7s. Tesla's coming in with a bid. Alphabet's kind of, just chilling there right now. Amazon some strength coming into the open as well. So those are two that I might be watching as well. And I kind of pointed this out earlier to my pod as well. Apple and Tesla doing the most relative volume in the pre-market session right now. Here comes Tesla 390. Can we hold? Can we break? I was looking at these 88s earlier, Neil, and that came in nice. There's the 390 breaking through right away. 391s. Yeah. Can we see that? Wow, it's just straight through. Some of these opens are very, very directional, so it's just like you can't hesitate. If you hesitate for too long, it's gone. There it is, back down through 390s. Let's see if we sustain. That 400 could be interesting. With that amount of relative volume in the pre-market session, I'm curious to know, what are the ranges we make? What are the opening ranges? Because we know a lot of players like to play off of the opening ranges. And so let's find out what the opening range is, and then maybe we can make some decisions off of there. There comes the market, Nasdaq and ES, back down to their lows. 663.97 pre-market lows on the spider. Let's see if we can crawl a little bit lower there.
Oh, crawling lower is what everything is seemingly doing right now. I just got into MARA, tried to grab SMCI back through the lows. Is trying to be patient, have that little trend that's the upside break. It just did. Gonna see if I can't get swept back up here. As big time turn happening. I just looked over at Apple. Apple just broke the low of the day. That was at 272 a couple of seconds ago. And now we're all the way down at 270. You got NVIDIA cracking through the volume weighted average price as well. Oh, give me my second short. I did not get filled in SMCI. They just missed me. Just missed me. Pick me up, pick me up. Oh. Only into MARA as the market's breaking low of the day. 180's coming in on NVIDIA. Yeah, the market doesn't look like we're going to be catching too much of a bid, at least not early.
Oh my God, yeah, no. So those sellers came in so aggressively, Neil. So what 390? I couldn't really get there on 390s, but I'm just like, okay, well, if 390s are not going to go,
87 already.
Yuck. Dude, it's at 85s. Oh, I got short 87s. Oh, I got short 88s on the back through. I was like, okay, well, 90. I'm not going to get 90. But can't be choosing when things are moving that quickly. You just have to be involved. You just got to get involved. Let's see if we can get this pre-market low. As of right now, 382s and some change I'm seeing here. Let's see. That's selling coming in pretty aggressively, both here on the ES and the Nasdaq. As we trail a little bit lower, can we see 382s? Sorry, 382s. Okay, you know what? I'm going to stay a little bit patient here. I'm going to stay a little bit patient. Wait and see if they come in. But those pre-market lows, they could be a little bit of trouble. Market catching a little bit of a bounce here as well. 384s here on Tesla. So quick scalps. Sellers very, very dominant. Let me know what you guys are trading. There is one stock that is not seller dominant right now, and I'm watching it out of the corner of my eye, is IONQ to the upside.
Well, that doesn't make any sense.
Yes.
If I had to pick a name that's actually strong, I don't think it would be in the quantum space this morning. That's for you-know-what, sure. But you know what? Good for them. Good for them. So MARA short, SMCI finally picked me up. I want low. It actually broke the low of the day, but I want to wait for a more definitive break there. Still have the eyeballs on Apple at that 270. It doesn't look like it's going to hold. Okay, watch out for the bid. NVIDIA just caught a pretty hefty bid. That's the other stock. I always have NVIDIA up just to see what's going on. But NVIDIA just caught a bid at the low of the day. If we lose VWAP, that's a good place to re-enter some shorts potentially. So yeah, the market's at the lows. If NVIDIA fails this move up, then it's time to re-engage some of those shorts. We're using them as kind of like a leader of the pack. To be able to tell where the market is going to be going here. I know you're already on Tesla. The one name on my list that I didn't bring you, it's getting close. I said this one requires the most patience, SNDK. It's not even at 45 yet. It was 45 to 50 that I was looking for the fade. That's already bounced 10 bucks off the open. And I think it could go 15, 20 before reverting.
Yeah, so like I said, that selling came in pretty aggressively. I got short, what was it, 387.67? What? And then it dropped all the way down. That low, I mean, that is my price. You know, just getting lucky here. And it's all the way back in now. So I covered a decent chunk of the position as it went lower there. But 388's coming right back in. So this is what I mean. Things, when they get directional in this market, they can get very directional. And they can flip on a dime, too, there as well. So coming into those pre-market lows, I was like, can we see those 382s? And it rips right back through 384s. I'm just like, all right, well, if that's not going to happen right away, then I don't want it anymore. And those buyers are coming in right back through 388, 389. So we're probably going to go through 390s if this market continues to catch a bid. Look at the bottom wick happening here on the Nasdaq, Neil.
Oh, yeah.
So that bid is definitely coming in. Let's see who is the strongest of the bunch. Alphabet at its highs. Tesla's also strong as well. Apple not as much. Amazon's just still within its opening range. Softy's just kind of, you know, just a little soft.
NVIDIA's the one.
I'm just kind of chilling. Just a little chilling. NVIDIA's the one?
NVIDIA's almost broken out that high. Almost. It's so close. 183.25 or so, and then it's going to absolutely blow. But when that goes, I'm out of SMCI in like 2 cents. I'm out of MARA in like 3 cents. Actually, well, MARA just triggered. Oh, I don't want long MARA. I'll just get out. All right. I just scalped out of MARA. I did not want to be long that stock. Even if it goes, I don't want to be in it. But you just took out the top on NVIDIA. That means both MARA. Yeah, it's probably a good long. But I just got stopped right there and was accidentally to the long side. But I'm jumping out. This was my litmus for the early move, was if NVIDIA broke out. And if it breaks out, I step away and wait for SNDK. This was the one yesterday that required by far the most patience. It's going parabolic into that 50. The range for me is right into 50 to 55, right in here. When that reverts, I think it can be a good one, but it's going to require a little bit of patience and a little bit more of a wider stop to trade this name. Market bounce in effect. Apple not really doing anything. Apple's actually still near those lows. So it's really more the chip names that are going up here, Obi, and showing that strength. You got Bitcoin at 96,000, so that's going to be in play as well. IBIT looking good, but I don't want to take my eyes off this SNDK as it's absolutely flying. Also, just a reminder to everybody, because we didn't do this enough yesterday, and I don't know if it's on behind me, is the visualizer. Anything you guys are interested in, it's not behind me. Anything you guys are interested in, be sure to type in $. Like Justin in the chat, you're looking at SoFi, just go $SoFi, and then you'll see it drop down, and then we have an idea of what everyone's like hollering about. Meta, MSTR, Tesla, Circle, CDTX. CDTX is like a cash buyout. You're probably not as interested in it as you think you are. That's all I will say. 221 cash, depending on, whatever. I won't get into it too much more.
I didn't know. That's when I took my eyes off of as
CDTX.
well. SanDisk. You have SNDK.
Oh, it's screaming right.
It is pushing aggressively. Wow. The market very strong bid here. Tesla coming right back in, holding above those 390s now. So I'm waiting, I'm watching, and I'm curious to know, can we get back to 400? That's well within range. Only about $7.50 away here as of right now as we trade around 392 halves. On Tesla, what else do we got going on? CoreWeave, nothing too crazy, man. Nothing too crazy. Let's take a quick look at what you guys are talking about here in the chat as well, so we can have eyes on a lot of other stocks as well. So 392s, that strength is coming in. Maybe we get a reversion to 25,000 here on the Nasdaq today. I don't know. Last Friday, we came in pretty hot and heavy going into the end of the week as well. Strong sellers all week, and then guess what happened? Do you remember? Middle of the day, around roughly around, I think it was like 12 or like 12 or 1 o'clock, maybe 2 o'clock. We got that beautiful reversion closing off the week last week with a nice bottom wick there as well. Seems like the bid is coming in a little bit earlier this week after a week of selling right off of the open, which is distinctly different from last week. But again, market's not always going to be the same. Sure, sometimes it feels like it's repeating, but you got to remember, maybe it's just rhyming, right? So that consolidation range on Google, I'm watching this as well. People in the chat talking about CoreWeave. I know I'm looking at CoreWeave as well. Still within its opening range, still kind of underneath its prior day low. So I'm going to pack my patience with this one. Shout out to Sharif here. And MSTR, people talking about MSTR. Was it MSTR? Yeah, MSTR.
Yes, MSTR.
Yeah, so I'm getting confused with the other one, Metsera from yesterday there. But 200 just holding as of right now, so nothing too crazy. I was looking at Coinbase when it came to crypto-related stocks today, still holding within its opening range. Some of these pre-market highs and lows as well. On Coinbase. So nothing too crazy in the crypto space. Let's take a quick look at Bitcoin to see if it has any sort of volatile moves off of the open here. Coinbase. Check you guys out. 96,000. Okay, 96,000. We're kind of hopping around here on the Bitcoin. 95K hold. Let's see if that's going to come in interesting. I don't know if I have technicals on this specific chart. Let's take a quick look. I like to look at
here comes VWAP on the Nasdaq here.
VWAP on the Nasdaq. All right.
So we're at that point.
Yeah, let's see that.
We're filling in a bit of the gap. We're halfway to the big resistance, which is at 25. So if we're saying be patient, like the first shot is here for reversion, and that'll be VWAP. As I said, for the Nasdaq, call it 24.83 on the NQ. End up in WDC and SNDK right at the 250 level. So 55 is kind of like the bigger level up here, but I want to be in this one, giving it a little bit early, and then wait for the 55. I'll give it a couple bucks here, and then wait for the 255 level in earnest, as this one's going a little bit more than WDC. Well, this chart's jacked on WDC. But WDC's holding 57, so I got 56 in front of 57 there, and then taking the shot at the 250 level on SanDisk. This is the one that I like the most for a reversion trade. So I feel like this is the one I want to give 2 or 3 shots here today. And the reason is simple. There's all kinds of other names in the space that have gone. This one easily the most volatile and easily the biggest drawback and the biggest parabolic move. So I think it has the most potential for any kind of reversion. As I said, I will take 3 shots at it, but I'm never letting it get through my stop without jumping out. So I'm going to short 50 to 52, but if we end up top wicking, I'm jumping right back into this trade, and I'll take shots as long as it's under 255. But if we blow this market out, which is what's happening, if we blow this out through VWAP, that's a pretty big move. It's 150 points until you get to next resistance. So you got to be careful here. Just stay nimble. That's what it's all about. Micron would be another example as well, but you can only look at so many things at one time.
Yeah, so many things at one time. This Tesla getting back involved with this 390. Oh my God, are we going to print 390 once again? Okay, this thing is getting really, really volatile. Like I said before, when it loses the bid, when it gets correctional, when it gets directional. Correctional is what I'm looking for of the price when I feel like the price is mispriced a little bit there. Correctionals is what I'm looking for. But yeah, no, 390 coming back in. Nice little pullback of this consolidation near the highs as of right now on Tesla. So going to be a little bit nimble here with this one. Again, with the market, with the way it is right now. Don't forget, VIX is at 20s. You got to be a little bit wary. Things can get a little choppy and a little aggressive. So you got to take what she gives you, and you can't ask for more. Mother Market is rarely forgiving, and when you're forgiven on a position, or you're in a good position and it's getting a little choppy, I think it's well worthy to kind of assess what's the range on the stock. Are we going in the direction that I'm looking for, or are we doing a lot of chop within a range as well, right? You don't want to get stuck in that no man's land, getting chopped up for no reason. So I'm gonna take that off right there. That was a nice little scalp. We pulled back into 390s, holding some of that opening range high structure as well. That 390, I'm going to treat it as a bit of an over-under. Okay, there's a bit of a bid coming in here on the Nasdaq and the ES, maybe closing this 15-minute candle with some strength with only about a minute left here, Neil. And this is the first 15 minutes of the day. And this is absolutely crazy, absolutely wild.
You get that crazy bounce, and we're still heading higher. Just sort of Randy was asking us how things are going. I'm like, look, the Nasdaq is still 1, but the ES is under 1% to the downside. NVIDIA is about to go green on the session, and this is that euphoric bounce. 15-minute hasn't even closed yet, So there's still a plenty of time here. I know we haven't really talked too much about crypto. I'll go there quickly before I get to what is actually the #1 name on our list right now, which is Meta. You haven't even filled in the gap from last night on IBIT. Same thing when I look at MARA. So in the effort of like being patient, like look at MARA. You know what? MARA is still good. That's annoying. It's a good thing I got out of that accidental long. If you ever find yourself in an accidental position, just punch right out. Because that punch out probably saved me. This one's still looking like it's a bit of a short here on MARA. Interesting, when I went over to the chip names, this one's still set up. So be careful, everybody. That 15-minute bar is now finally closing, and you're going to get some more of an idea of where we can head. If we have another one green, then you got to join the party. And the party seems to be in NVIDIA right now. As much as I know a lot of people are looking at Meta, somehow that's top of the list, Meta's not doing anything. Like Meta is just consolidating underneath the bottom. I know there's a lot of people interested in having this probably close above 600 bucks, but that's not the one moving. It's a chip name moving the most, so that's where I want to stay focused in. It's chips and crypto at this point. Bitcoin, MARA, whichever one you like.
Yeah, I'm watching some of these names here as well, like Apple. Apple caught a bit of a strong sell, and we've been noticing that Apple is acting a little distinctly differently. I think it was yesterday that it was running like crazy here. Let's take a quick look at what I'm looking at. So Apple, distinctly different from the rest of the market. Let's just go down to a 15-minute chart. I'm going to clean up this chart here as well. We do not need all of those indicators today. But yeah, coming into some of the zone here, look at this chop yesterday. Beautiful reversion came in yesterday as well. But the market sold off of the open pretty aggressively, and Apple was one of the only ones that was distinctly different. So I was asking the question watching this bid. I was like, oh my God, why are you running? Where are you running? I have no idea.
Higher.
But much higher, and then reversion came right back in, joining alongside with the market sell-off once again. So I think I did a little well participating in that, can definitely be doing a little bit better as well. But bigger picture, continuation happening right now on Apple with that 270.
Do you see that super chat?
Yes, sir. Okay, so thank you, Daytrader LA, QUBT.
You know what? There's my favorite saying in the world. It is okay to be wrong. It is not okay to stay wrong. If you were bearish at the open, you better not be in position right now, is all I got to say. Have a look at QUBT. Not just up, 9%. 9%. What are we even doing? What's Rigetti doing right now?
Remember, I told you that these were doing the most volume in Blue Ocean last night. Rigetti was doing the most, IONQ, and then IRIN for some reason, but Rigetti was doing an aggressive amount of volume, unnatural, off in the first hour of Blue Ocean, so that's at 8 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Yeah, that's pretty insane. That's pretty insane. We got another one. This is just DGen retail bounce. Be careful. Look, I'm staying patient with it. Like at the end of the day, like if you were looking for, like I mentioned in IBIT, or even like anything in crypto, like IBIT hasn't even come back in to play that prior high. Like I'm looking at ETHA as well. We set off the open. Like that's filling in some of the gaps, but like come on, you're not even. We're at 32. 32.5 is resistance, so it's still a ways from that resistance level. So there's still a lot to watch. But what's interesting to me is as those are breaking out, MARA is still kind of chilling and hasn't even gotten to the prior day lows. So the reversion just might have to wait. I think you could have a little bit more upside here, and I'll wait for the turn a little bit closely on particularly MARA. Still want to have SanDisk up there as well. NVIDIA just got green. Let's see if it can hold it.
For sure. And now for some exciting news out for Canada for the sophisticated traders on the stream.
Ooh, nice.
Beta Pro by GlobalX Canada, Canada's largest provider of leveraged inverse and inverse leveraged ETFs, has just launched 6 new triple leveraged ETFs, offering 3 times bull and 3 times bear exposure to the S&P, TSX 60, semiconductors, and on U.S. Treasuries. Even better, they're offering a special fee rebate, dropping management fees to just 65 basis points until December 31st of 2025. Plus, the U.S.-focused strategies use currency hedging, offering the potential for purer performance and exposure. If you are a tactical, sophisticated trader looking to amplify your performance, check out betapro.ca/3xdaily to learn some more. Yeah, that quantum, man, the quantum's catching a bit of a bid aggressively with the rest of the market. I'm watching this Tesla as well. That 390 hold, yeah, what a great reason to buy. I'm glad I got out of there as aggressively as I did, because I was just like, if we're gonna bounce off of opening range like that, the short is definitely not on, and we push a little bit higher for some highs towards 396s. Neil, that 25,000, bit of a magnet. Seems like it's well within range now here on the Nasdaq. I don't know if it's going to get there or not. I have no idea. I wish I could, just ask my crystal ball or the magic 8-ball, but I don't think. I'm pretty sure that's not how things work. That's pretty sure not.
What is Randy doing over there?
Randy, what's up? There he is. How's it going? 396
It's just a headline
here on Tesla. So Tesla's coming in with that strength, man. What's the headline?
No, there was just a headline about it was rare earth metals and some shortages. I think Adair's going to have it. I just had it in my ear a couple of seconds ago. Ooh, I like that. I've never seen this before.
Okay.
That's a new one. Most viewers on your channel. Oh, when we pull, I had to look over to be able to see, and then you take it away before I can even read it. Oh, it's going to be like. That's cold-blooded. That's okay. I think we need to go to Adair for that news, maybe. No? Okay. To Adair?
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Button typo. But we want to talk here about rare earths, because I'm seeing some reports suggesting that China's export controls on rare earth titanium causing shortages and raising prices for users in aerospace and chip making. So not like directly policy related, just more kind of the impacts of these export controls on rare earths. If I get more, though, as always, you guys will be the first to know. Back to you.
Thank you as always, Adara. See, because like now I just really want to see what that accidental button hit was again. No, I was curious. That's all. So waited for.
Let's see what it was. Was it?
What is going on?
Was that
here?
the button?
What are these two doing over there?
These are not the button. You guys are on.
Can you guys just hug it out, maybe? Or do an arm wrestle. Give the people what they want.
Give them some.
Like, do an arm wrestle, do the push-up test. We have so much open space right now.
Oh, yeah.
Do the right thing.
That reminds me, what's Open Door doing?
Open Door's flying. Just very quickly here, you had a bit of a topping tail of 187 on NVIDIA. So if I'm using NVIDIA as my future, if you can come to my chart for a second. There we go. There's 187. Waited for it. We had it short early if we broke down and went crazy, but then looked for the short as you get that lower high. So NVIDIA's breaking tops. SMCI isn't. Wow, so that, at least for now, makes me like it. But as I said before, we're approaching that 25,000 level. And when is the next spot that I would look for shorts? When we get to 25,000. So until we got there, just no reason to force the way into anything. So we're at that big time spot. I see people talking about Micron in the chat. Obviously, all the chip names are going higher. Ooh, Apple's finally going. I don't have a breakout order on Apple, do I? I don't. No. Yeah, Apple I like over. It was 272.15 is this prior support level, but there's no closes above. So Apple's actually still looking pretty bearish itself, unfortunately. But the chip's going. The market close to that 25,000 mark. Everybody, that is the next key point that the Nasdaq has to get through.
Yeah, I think it's crazy. Like the market continues to catch a little bit of a bid, and Sharif just pointed out to me Micron going absolutely crazy. So I'm looking at my tech basket here. Sure, TSM is strong, SMH is strong, NVIDIA is strong, SMCI is strong, AMD is strong, Intel kind of catching a bid, but Micron is aggressively stronger. When it comes to ATR measurements, this one has done the most percentage of its ATR off of the open on the day. So I definitely am watching this one here, breaking prior day's highs. Prior day's highs came in just shy of 250 at 249.45s, and we're breaking that with some distinction here with the market tailwind. So this is what I'm saying, 25,000 is looking closer and closer here on the Nasdaq. This is where that aggressive selling kind of started off here in the morning session, all the way down from 25,000 consolidation down to 24,650, where we caught a bid off of the open there. Now this is only the second 15-minute candle, which with just under 3 minutes left to finish printing, and we've gotten aggressive pushes here on a few of these chip names, but Micron's the one that's standing out to me the most, man. It is absolutely super strong So you guys know what I like to do. I like reversions. I'm going to be honest. I'm being patient. I see something that's hella strong. I start stalking that. I'm starting to wait. I'm starting to be patient. I'm looking for that distinctly different kind of price action here. So I did have AMAT here as well, but AMAT maybe not the best candidate for reversions because it's an earnings name and it's close to some key levels as well. So I'm going to be a little bit patient with AMAT there, but Micron, I'm going to pull this one up and see if
remember we're
can,
still a little away from the 25.
Oh yeah, we're still a little bit away. So I'm going to be patient. I'm going to be watching this tape, looking for distinct difference. But yeah, let me know in the chat, what else are you guys watching? I'm waiting for when the reversion may come.
I think
the
it's
bid
these quantum
is very
names.
much here.
I think it's the quantum names I'm seeing a lot of, but just to remind everybody, like we're not at 25 yet. We're still screaming into it. It's yesterday's lows. It's where we fell off in the morning on the Nasdaq. So that's kind of the big level. We've seen this, not to this extent percentage-wise, but we've seen this like many days this week. SMCI, I'm out. Always give it to that prior out, stop it out, wait for 36, potentially 36, wherever 25,000 line up is fine with me. But also got to start thinking about trend breaks and the 15-minute chart, which has been a little bit better. The 15 still looks pretty strong. So we're not setting up any trend breaks on the 15-minute. Everything seems to be being led by the chip names. Like you said, Micron, of course. Okay, Apple is going to do that close above, so my bid is going in on Apple, 272s. But NVIDIA is now at that resistance spot. Still very much crazy, crazy uptrend. Like I said, we've seen this and what it can look like before. Like remember AMD the last couple of days? It's like, oh my goodness, that's not a short, that's not a short. And then you finally get that turn. Sometimes it's 10:45, other times it's like 10:15. But it's that second 15-minute bar where you get the opening range set that's going to prove otherwise here. So we'll see what happens with the market here. I do still like Apple. Apple back in the top of the range, 72s. So once we close above there, which we're going to do, barring something crazy in the next 3 minutes, look for the long to the next stage up, which would be about 74, 75 on Apple, where I know there's some people that like to short on Apple at 75.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at AMD now as well here, almost pushing up into that 250 mark. So Micron's at that 250. I'm going to be a little bit patient, let it chop around. Yeah, this could be the top potentially. We could pull right back into 242s. If that's the case, then that's going to be a mistrade for me. I'm looking for a little bit more here, and I'm going to be a little patient for that as well. The tech sector or specifically the chips, the semiconductors are very, very strong as of right now. So maybe even some lower highs could do it here. If we get a symmetrical move all the way down and we sell off just as aggressively as we've bid up, then that'll definitely be a little bit of a miss on my part. But Micron looking very, very strong. Let's take a quick look at some of these other names as well that I am watching. Where did my morning list go here? Okay, so. All right, so I was watching XLV as well. If you guys know, this thing has been kind of strong over the past couple of days here with the market selling off. Maybe more than the past couple of days. This has had some aggressive strength here. We'll go straight up to an hourly chart so you guys can see this movement over the past couple of weeks. So we were trading down here in about 144s at the beginning of the month, and then the health sector did catch a bit of an aggressive bid all the way up to 154 halves. So we've been pulling back off of there as well. So nice little reversion that potentially started yesterday and is getting some follow through coming into today as well. We can see some sector, some sector rotation, some money moving around potentially as well. While the market was selling off aggressively, I think it was XLV, which was strong. And then I think XLE was also strong. Energy is coming in kind of
if you look at those charts, look at SLV or GLD in the afternoon yesterday. And what was distinctly different when they literally lost the bid technically, and that had to do with the US dollar. And when they start repricing like that rate cut, the chance of the rate cut, it was a really big technical flush and possibly coming back into those levels. All right, so NVIDIA, same level it's turning around at, I'm actually seeing, is that could get up there back into 187. However, MARA is the first thing that's actually on my chart that is setting up a trend break. Not much of the stocks. I'm looking at SMCI. That's not setting up a trend break. I like that on SMCI. Someone asked, why do I like that one? It's just the price action and the patterns. I put that in the chat. But for now, it is MARA that's setting up a clean trend as we go into 25,000 for sure. And then someone just mentioned to me, you know, it's a weird day or a bullish day when a stock like Beyond Meat is going up. So every single time this thing pops, I pay for locates. That simple. It's up 12%, but they're probably going bankrupt. I don't know if it gets all the way to 150. 150 is the level on Beyond Meat, but if it just broke a buck, you could do worse than 125. But it's not free for us at Real Trading. I'll probably pay like 1/3 of 1 cent per share, and I'll go ahead and do that now. You just have to be ready in case it gets up to that level. Looking at the quarter first, I don't believe it. Even if the market continues rallying, I believe this one turns around.
All right. So, yeah, no, I think BYND is kind of, have you been keeping eyes on it? That's the question.
Which?
BYND, because I feel like when all the eyes have been taken off and it's not kind of, you know, the bell of the ball anymore. It was a great trade, that exhaustion through 7. But when people take eyes off of some of this stuff, the backside on it is absolutely beautiful, just straight days of fades, right? So we talk about swing shorts. We'll talk a little bit more about that BYND. We were talking about this morning as well, but right after we get back from Madeira.
So what's happening now, as you guys can see, or at least has been happening for the first half hour, is just aggressive buying in this market. We did gap down. We know there's still been some concerns here about AI-related valuations, but today a market deciding they're going to try to, I guess, fade some of that sell-off. I want to mention as well, in 5 minutes, we get a very interesting Fed speaker, Fed Schmid. Now, we know that Fed's Mybrin has actually been a dissenting vote the last 2 meetings. Fed Schmid was a dissenting vote in the most recent Fed meeting, the October meeting, and he actually voted to hold rates steady. So this is someone from whom we can maybe expect a little bit of hawkishness. If there are any comments of note, I'll let you know. But either way here, Fed Schmid set to take the podium. BTC is struggling a bit here. Here is a Coinbase trying to push back up here off these lows, but as Bitcoin lost that 99,000 level yesterday and actually lost 95 as of earlier this morning, a lot of these crypto names going to sell off in sympathy. Let's talk here about TSLA, Tesla week as well. Generally, it's been selling off more or less since we had that approval of the pay package last week, but we also had some news yesterday. Not likely what moved the stock because it came out while we were already selling. But either way, Tesla recalling their Powerwall 2 AC battery power systems. And AMAT, probably I think definitely the largest market cap earnings play on watch today. They beat on EPS and sales. Guidance was a bit mixed for the next quarter. And Craig Hallam downgrading the stock. Before we send you back to more trading action with Neil and Obi, we're going to take a moment to thank our friends at Origenics. Guys, each year, 3.8 million concussions are reported in the U.S., but there's still no FDA-approved treatment. NYSE-listed Origenics, or OGEN, is changing that with their first-in-class intranasal drug, designed for rapid brain access. With the concussion treatment market projected to reach $8.9 billion by 2027, Origenics is uniquely positioned to lead the way. Learn more. Schedule a meeting today. Back to Neil and Obi, and guys, make sure to like and subscribe.
Yes, sir. And bit of a rollover market, rollover a little bit. Like I said, wait for the first thing that sets up, and you got to take it when it does. Even if the market's going to continue to go higher, if you see a trend like this, I'm going to take it to VWAP pretty much every single time. Only difference, I'm going to leave a third on through the volume weighted average price on the off chance that we just completely flush. I do think with Bitcoin above 96 and room to 95 or at 96.1, that MARA can get through the volume weighted average price by the time we get to 95,000. So just going to make sure we leave some on there. Apple finally came in to that 272. Actually didn't even get to 272. Realized, okay, the market's rolling over a bit. Let's scalp some out of this because we didn't get this on the way up. I end up catching it on the way back down. If we lose VWAP, then I jump out. But Apple above 272 was on my list of things that I'd be bullish if it could take that price. So it did, so I'm into the long for that bad boy. We are also getting a trend break in SNDK. I'm just going to leave it on Apple for a second, but SNDK is also finally breaking its trend off of 260. So decent chance. This candle closes underneath that 260. I'll probably jump into that short as well, give the stop to the high. Same as we usually do around here. And I see the new #1 on the visualizer. Okay. Sean might be at a hockey tournament or going to one, But BBAI is on the radar. Well, there's a trend break. BBAI went green and now is pulling back into the volume-weighted average price. That's a pretty standard parabolic move up, trend break. Maybe look for the volume-weighted average price to hold on here. That's also prior close. So you got confluence with the close and VWAP, and it's already done it. That's the move. Like, that's exactly the move when you get that crazy move or a decent move up off the open. You're just waiting for it to establish a clean trend on whatever time frame you're looking at. Hammer and then play it into the volume-weighted average price.
Yeah, I'm watching this this MSTR here, sorry, not MSTR, Micron, as it starts to slow down a little bit at the same time. So we did get that aggressive bid. Market's starting to maybe take a little bit of a pullback here as well. So I started to get involved with this Micron as it chops around this 250. Now 250, a little bit of a key level potentially maybe, but the fact that it's consolidating and chopping around here, it tells me that there may be something interesting, especially after we took a straight beeline all the way up to 250 and we started kind of chopping and churning here as well. So let's see if we can get any sort of a reversion to the mean. VWAP's coming in at what, 243s here as of right now, and the market's taking a little bit of a pullback here. But again, the 15-minute candle, this current 15-minute candle has just started printing. We have 9.5 minutes left still. Ian Rispetto, thank you very much for the super chat asking, can you look at MSFT? Sure, I can take a quick look at MSFT here. Microsoft, very, I guess, beaten down over the past couple of days here, along with the rest of the market. You can see earnings, since earnings, we got that aggressive selling and then back-to-back days with that continuation. Now, we've found a little bit of chop here on top of this 500 mark, but Neil, when it comes to Microsoft, I'm looking at the weekly chart here. So weekly chart, this thing is looking kind of interesting on a higher time frame, bit of a double top wiki action and a consolidation low at 490. So that's the look I have here on Microsoft. If we crack those 490s, that could be interesting, or maybe we revisit some of the supply zone in the 550s on Microsoft. What's going on in there?
As perhaps expected, we do have some hawkish commentary from Fed's Schmidt, who's saying that Fed policy is currently modestly restrictive, which is where it should be. He says that inflation is too hot and the labor market is cooling, which is an issue that a lot of his colleagues have referenced, but that it's actually apparently largely on balance. And he also said that his concerns with regards to inflation go beyond just the tariff issue, because a lot of people are talking specifically about tariff inflation and the legitimacy of that. Fed Schmidt is saying, hey, either way, I have inflation concerns. It is not tariff specific necessarily. So some hawkishness here from Schmidt. Back to you.
Yeah, never forget when we have a bunch of Fed speakers that they can move the markets. But look, the labor market's going to be a bit of a concern. I think one of the things that we don't talk about enough is quantitative tightening, which could be a bit of a problem here for the overall market if they do that. That being said, took the second shot in SNDK. That's not going to work. Apple's bouncing, and I missed my reload. MARA is holding fort. So there's something more right about the short in MARA than other names. Like, it's bouncing off VWAP, but it's already fading that bounce. So this seems like the one to stick with, at least for now. But as I just said, I got to slap the fail on myself for missing the bid here on Apple. Like, it came back in. I thought it was headed to VWAP, saw that move down in the market, felt like it was going to actually test into VWAP itself, so was looking for that buy right around the thirds, didn't get it, still haven't blown through like 73s to get to 74s or anything along those lines, right now about 50 pennies in the money. But let's be real, if we're going to go up all day, then there should be multiple opportunities to get into any kind of a long. And yeah, Cheeser, I see that beyond meat. I'm thinking the other way, though. It's at the 125. There's two levels to look at for me. There's 125 and there's 150. So I'm just looking for that one to slow itself down. You just try to take the one shot. For me, it's like take one shot in it. Like when it got to 150 the other day, like this is a real move, and it just kind of fades it the entire time. And it's done that a few times. Like this 150, you just let it get there. Once it tagged it, it was just clean. There wasn't even a green bar until it hit, through the low of the day. So if that happens, I want to be there for it. That's a much easier short than the market. Oh, there's a good Leroy Jenkins. You called 25. I should have said it in the way, but my bad. You called 25K as resistance in NQ. Why long Apple near that? Well, one of the only bullish things I liked was how range-bound Apple had been in two places, like 67 to 72, 72 to 75. So once it showed me like independently, like once Apple showed me that it's, you know, holding the 72 level, I just like long Apple. It's like an over-under kind of price. Like once it shows me buyers above 72, I'm bullish on Apple. So it didn't really matter where the futures were in that particular case. I just was focused on Apple solely when it was holding that price level. That's all. I hope that makes sense to you. That said, if we hold under 25,000, I'm probably likely to scalp this out because I only think I can get 73s. At this point, I'm thinking I can get a bit more than that.
Yeah, I'm watching this. This Micron is some serious chop here as it's pulling back a little bit off of that 250 here. 247's a bit of a churn, so we did kind of break a little bit of structure here. Let me show you guys here on this chart, Micron. Here, so that's the weekly. That's not the chart that I'm looking for. Let's just take a look at a 3-minute. So that's. I usually like to use a 3-minute. You guys can see here I use a 3-minute, but I use other time frames as well while I'm trading. But 247 is currently trading. 243.30s is VWAP. No idea if we're going to get all the way down there as well. Again, knowing that chips are as strong as they are, Micron could be just consolidating within its upper quartile of the move. It has been a pretty aggressive bid, right? So we could just very well just consolidate here. This is an area from yesterday as well. That's what interested me a little bit more in this area because we came into this. This has been an area of supply here on Tuesday, as well as Wednesday, as well as Thursday, and we're finally kind of coming back up into here. So it should be interesting if we see this as a bit of resistance once more, or does it continue to stay a little bit of a supply zone? I'm just looking for a bit of a pullback, but maybe that's all that she wrote, right? We got to a high of 251s, we pull back down to 246s, I don't know, but the thing is the bid has definitely dissipated. The volume has started to drop off as well. But let's see if price sustains. That's the next question. Does volume drop off and price sustain, or does volume drop off and price starts to bleed out as well? So those are two distinctly different kind of scenarios. I'm going to be patient and watch this one as well. Circle kind of just within its opening range, nothing too crazy there. Rigetti's pulling back now as well, so that's interesting. Okay, there comes a Micron, and I got some more covers there into 246s as it pulls back into maybe towards VWAP. So the bid is definitely kind of coming in here, or orders are coming into the bid. Sometimes I get a little jumbled with the words in my head there, but yeah, orders are definitely hitting the bid there on Micron. Let's see if we can get the reversion back down to VWAP. There was a little bit of chop. It was kind of difficult to kind of get in and around that 250, but once you started observing it a little bit there, it was a little clearer that it wasn't necessarily getting back through that 250. Even on a shorter time frame, this retest of that 250, that was a lot of information for me as well, and I did add on after that came in. Here's the thing, I'm not going to get the best prices most of the time there, so I do have to be wary about kind of just staying with the move. That's what I've been realizing, Neil, especially with a VIX this high and the market as volatile as it is. When I see the momentum, I just want to get part of it. Sometimes I'm even being very much price indifferent because I'm more like the trade isn't price. My risk is the momentum turning the other way.
One thing to consider for the short, what's weird is, I'm going to point out right now, like the shorts have come back in here. Now, Apple failed 273, so I said if it failed 273 at the moment where we're still pulling back from 25,000, I would jump out, but it might actually break out. But what's interesting to me right now is what the VIX is doing. Because like you're actually still, here, let me just pull up, let's go to like a 5-minute maybe. Like you're only now catching a bit of a consolidative bid, but if we break down, that's like, to me, it means you're bouncing off VWAP if we end up breaking down from here. Like look at the Nasdaq pull back into the volume weighted average price. So as that happens, you got to start thinking, okay, if that bounces, VIX follows through, then your shorts are kind of kaput. Finally got a trend break in SMCI. So we're in it a couple times, well, actually 3 times already, 1 for 3 on it, and the 4th time we're looking for that VWAP retrace. It's kind of getting halfway, which leads me to believe I should get something out before we get to 35. So waited for this to maybe put a topping tail candle, market got to that 25,000, and then I see Bearded Warrior is asking, is there news on UNH? Here's the thing, not that I'm aware of, But this is the kind of morning where if something has a lot of volatility, don't make the assumption that there's something going on with it. Right, like UNH is down in a market that's bouncing, but then remember the rotation was when tech was selling, that healthcare was strong. So the last couple of sessions, like this has actually been pretty good in the midst of the sell. Then you had yesterday, which was kind of like everything was selling regardless of what it was doing. So don't make the assumption there has to be news, but if there is any, Adara will get it to us.
So there is maybe something to be aware of. It looks like David Tepper's Appaloosa closed a large portion of their UNH position. I'm seeing roughly 92% decrease. They opened this position last quarter. If I see any more on that, I'll let you know. But from what I'm seeing, it looks like that was a significant decrease. And again, 92 is a lot, but Neil, it's not as much as Warren Buffett decreased of his Alta position last year. Gets in, and the next quarter closes 96%.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, that's a bit of a headline. Although I always find it interesting, like after you find out someone's already sold and the pressure has been mounted or relieved by the fact that they've already sold a bunch of shares, then it goes down even more. People just always following other people. Go Bill saying GEV is very strong. Look, a lot of these, if you were getting beaten up because of the AI quote-unquote bubble, then you should be strong today. And I'd be worried if you were not showing some signs of strength, but not really breaking out. Mike is asking what's up with Merck. So this is actually a really easy story for Merck. Merck's making a huge $9.2 billion acquisition. And a lot of time, you will see extra volatility in a name when it has a big deal like that. Sometimes it's to the downside, but this time it's actually going up. I think they like this deal for Merck. But the like $9 billion acquisition announced this morning for them.
Yeah, so this is what I was talking about before. I was debating on, getting the reversion either on Micron or AMAT, right? We talked about this. So I was like,
AMAT, yeah.
Micron, definitely a better candidate, and it happened to work out there pretty decently, so got lucky on that one there. But take a look at AMAT here, right? If I had taken a short on this one, look at that, no follow through. The selling did come in, but that was just the initial selling. The buying didn't necessarily dissipate like we saw here. We didn't see buyers continue to attempt at the ask and get kind of stood in front of and get pushed back down. We did not see that on AMAT as well. This continues to grind up. This is a distinct difference in between in these as well. Now, of course, AMAT also has earnings, so that's important to note as well. Might be catching some unusual participants on earnings day one as well. So that all of those factors kind of confluence together. The market's coming back in as well, so that's strong. And AMAT now has even more potential to potentially continue as well. So a nice little consolidation. And this grinding consolidation, I'm finding, Neil, a lot of the time. So I'm trying to isolate stuff that really, stuff that like kicks me down, kind of stuff that's like I have an issue with. And grinding consolidations, grinding price action.
What's the grinding?
So like it's kind of like this. So it's like
I just don't know the term.
You're bidding up. It's kind of barcoding.
Okay.
Like sometimes barcodes range in trend. Barcodes sometimes are flat. Sometimes barcodes are ranging down, trending down as well. So like this barcode action that slowly grinds up, like it'll have aggressive selling. It might get you in. It might get you enticed for the sell, and then buyers step back in, boom, 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 grind it right back up, and then boom. Boom, 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 boom. And that's kind of like that's big trouble for me.
I was gonna say like that's now now I get what you're saying, because that's exactly what's happening at SMCI. Like it's a patented perfect setup, and then the second you get that, it's starting to flush, that's looking good, the buyers ground back in there. Now obviously I tend to keep my stops a little tighter than most, but that sort of is what it is. Like I don't give this to the high of the day when I'm going against the grain, because I'd rather take multiple shots at a level than try to go all in and just get rinsed on one. It's just not my style, to each their own. But somehow built differently. I don't understand. It doesn't have to make sense. Like Bitcoin is not breaking out, it's just weak. So for the year, Bitcoin is underperforming the market. This morning, Bitcoin is underperforming the market. As we just get back to that 25,000, we're actually putting in lower highs here on IBIT. I think that's why MARA is continuing to work. So, as I said, try to lean into the things that are working more. I don't know if it'll be VWAP for a continuation here or maybe some other kind of lower high. But as long as Bitcoin is worse than everything else here, this is the one that has to be a bit of the short still. We have a new leader up here? No, we don't. it's still BBAI. I look up, I see Open Door, people are talking about, but BBAI, still the top of the list, everybody, on our stock visualizer. And if you haven't, make sure you jump in the chat. And to jump into the chat, you got to hit the subscribe button. It's a subs-only chat, everybody. So do that first, and then throw some symbols in there. I'm not going to restart it or anything. I want to give the respect to BBAI, Open Door, which we haven't even covered Open Door at all. I haven't even looked at it. Tesla, Micron, we've all mentioned these, SoFi, Beyond Meat, some of the crypto names, MSTR in there. CDTX, that's another deal. You guys like these? CDTX is the company that Merck is buying. So.
Yeah, isn't that a biotech? Yeah,
yeah, it's like a 90% premium. That's expensive, man. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. BBAI is under VWAP and not looking as healthy as before. This feels like it's on the back end. Remember what I was saying about the MARA position, where the market is strong, but it's working its way down? That's what's happening in BBAI as well here. Relative to what's happening. I mean, look at the stock off the open. It's still up from the open, but market's near the high. This is underneath VWAP.
Yeah, I think something I'm watching here as well is SanDisk. SanDisk definitely on watch over the past couple of days with the aggressive move that it's had, especially through earnings as well. Catching a very, very strong bid today through that 240 here. Almost back at prior day's highs. Now, yesterday was some aggressive selling. We broke the bid, the multi-day bid there. We got our first good day of selling after 1, 2, 3, 4 consistent days after earnings of straight bidding. So yeah, a bit of a 50% reversion to the mean there, roughly about, I can just eyeball this from this low to that high. That's about a 50% reversion. And somebody in the chat was mentioning Fibonacci's again. So you know what?
Isn't that your favorite indicator?
Is it now? Is it? Oh, by far one of my most. No, I'm joking. Definitely not. But we can use it to measure the 50% here, I guess. So 50% mark is right here. So yeah, so it did revert about 50% of the move yesterday, maybe a little bit more as well. Now we're catching a bit of a bid here as well. So I'm going to continue to keep eyes on this one. Bigger picture, definitely of interest. If you just look at the daily chart, if you look at the weekly, what has been happening here? Straight up multi-month bid on SanDisk, writing itself in history here all the way to the upside. Let's go to the weekly and the monthly. Look how clean some of these bars are. Not even a prior bar low break just yet on the weekly. So should be interesting, but seems like it's not in yet. I thought yesterday's selling would bring it in, but I have no idea. Still kind of consolidating, still in that range. What's going on, Adara?
Let's talk about some small caps. We'll start with one that we talked about earlier this week for sure. Amaze Holdings, MAZE, they just reported earnings. EPS down on a year-over-year basis, but sales actually up heavily on a year-over-year basis. That one's a penny stock, as is UTime. Ticker for this one, though, is WTO for some reason. UTime on Wednesday announced a 1-for-100 reverse stock split. Pretty consolidated today, but again, not a ton of small cappers that I could find. This one could certainly be one to watch. And last but not least, OPE, and again, this one in the $1 billion market cap level, so not a huge small cap. But as Neil has discussed, it's been really strong basically this whole week, and OPE and no exception today, pushing back a little bit now. But we knew that earlier this week, Kaz Nejati, and new CEO of the company, announced that he and his family purchased a $1 million block of shares as of one of these pre-market sessions, I believe Tuesday or Wednesday. Before we send you back to Neil and Obi, we'll take a moment to thank our friends at Trade the Pool. Because guys, for too long, trading meant risking your own money or never having enough to start. The fear of losing. Doesn't keep traders on the sidelines, but that's changing because Trade the Pool is transforming how traders access the market. With its limited risk trading model, traders use funded capital while Trade the Pool absorbs the downside. This allows traders to focus on what truly matters: discipline, consistency, and growth. When you hit that profit target, you keep 70% of the profits. That means no fear and no barriers, just real opportunity. That's the revolution of limited risk trading powered by Trade the Pool. Just visit tradethepool.com or scan that QR code now and get 10% off your first evaluation. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Adara. I say discipline, discipline, and more discipline. That's what it's all about. The thing about discipline is like it's not about having a stop or having an out. Like, it's more about having an idea of when I get into the trade, like, what does it mean to be wrong in the trade? And if that happens, then I'm no longer in the trade. Because it doesn't have to be, okay, well, if this line hits, I'm going to put a stop order in there. Like, some people like to work at different. I use stop orders. That's just me. We did get a couple of super chats, and I think we missed one. Mike, I see yours, but I don't know if that's not the one I was thinking of. But there is another one. So we'll get, first of all, Sean Connery, LOL, the greatest James Bond of all time. Where's Joe? Not even close. I can't do an impression. Who said? Get the hell. Get out of here with the fail. If I could put a poll up right now, and even if Sean Connery wasn't #1 for the top Bond, Joe, it certainly wouldn't be Pierce Brosnan that you think of. He'd be so far down the list that it wouldn't be worth thinking about. So we can get that out of here, first of all. We can get back to a stock-related.
Okay, yeah, this guy. Yeah, that guy was sick.
What do you mean?
That guy's a classic. He is the guy. He's the guy. Dude, I have a boxed DVD set of all the 007s. I think I haven't watched all of them.
You for real?
Yeah. But I've seen some of the older ones. They're absolutely solid. I'm horrible with like names, but in terms of like visual memory, I'm like, yeah, I know that guy. I recognize.
I told people that I'm a huge Bond fan. At my wedding, the entire, like, you know, the soft dinner music that's playing.
Oh yeah, it's Bond music.
It was just all of the Bond themes like on low,
Nice.
and one of the best parts of the night was when one of my buddies was a big Bond fan. Like, he's sitting down, and he's just eating food, and then he turns to, and I'm watching. He turns to his wife, and he goes, and he does one of those. And he says something, and then he goes like that, and he looks at me, he just points, and I'm like, yeah, you figured it out. That's what it's all about. We had another super chat. It was about Netflix, I believe.
Okay.
Why the massive Netflix sell-off?
Okay.
Okay, I'll admit. First of all, I didn't realize Netflix was selling off. I'm not even watching it. Okay, my personal opinion is 1140 broke, and that's technical. 1140 was a really big level for Netflix the other day. Yeah. Oh, goodness. Yeah, it sucks. Because I know this because this is where it broke out. And we were talking about that 1140 break. I know that sucks. I like Netflix, but you needed to hold that level pretty key. Also, it's going to be losing the 200-period moving average. So it feels like it's a technical breakdown. It's also one of those names that has been a little bit stronger at times when some of these, like, I guess AI names have been weak. So yeah, it could just be that. I wasn't aware of a particular headline there. But you don't want this stock closing underneath the 200-period moving average. Yeah, the split, oh, by the way, also the split is effective, I mean, today, but on Monday it'll be trading.
Oh,
Yeah, Mondays will be trading cheaper.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe there's some sell the news on that, I guess.
Yeah.
That could be it. That sucks. I didn't realize that happened.
It's definitely doing relative volume today. Like, remember I said in the morning, I'm like, any Meg 7 or any of the large caps doing anything above, like, even, you know what, I have some alerts that are much lower than 2 times relative volume, because you can put in relative alert volumes, and sometimes, man, in the pre-market session, sometimes while I'm waking up, or even before I've woken up, I've already have all of these relative volume alerts on the Mag 7s being like, hey, if this is doing relative volume, maybe you want to keep eyes on, especially if it's doing it in the pre-market session. And Netflix in the pre-market session doing over 2 times relative volume, strong selling coming in off of the open, and strong continuation as well. So 1,107.17 cents is the day low on Netflix, but you can see it's just coming into some of these levels that we saw on Monday. So strong bid for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday as well, but we've given it all back this morning session. So the question becomes, is that buying going to step in at all at any time today? We've made a bit of a low, and we've bid up about $10 roughly off of there. The question becomes, is this poised for a bit of a reversion? The volume is not really necessarily falling off. We see these strong spikes in sell volume right here on the 3-minute chart as it gradually kind of bleeds off, but it's overall kind of sustained. We're not really seeing that kind of dissipation to say here as much as I'd like to see. If the volume really falls off and we turn, that's fine as well. There goes the market through that 25,000 mark on the Nasdaq.
We're through.
Bit of a magnet. I was
going to say, we're through that. The second that happens, well, I didn't punch out a MARA. I punched out not SoFi, SMCI. It tried to pull back. about the best it got was to 35.4, and then we just broke out the top again. So there's been a couple of red candles that allow you to get a little bit out, then we just blow through. MARA for the first time is coming back into the high. So this one, which worked into VWAP, wanted to give it a chance to go. Made sure we held on to this. It was the only thing that was clean working to the downside. So I still want to give it a chance to hold the stop. For now, it is not breaking up, but I feel like that's only a matter of time before it does happen. And thank you very much there. We got another super chat. I just wanted to go to this name first. And we will look at BE in a quick little second. Bloom Energy, always a mover. But Palantir just went green. The things that fell the furthest and the fastest, if we hold 25,000, feel like the names that'll be the best for a second leg. So Palantir would be in that bucket. You remember, 2 days ago, we were at $192 on this stock. Yesterday at the open, we were $182. So this move right now, it looks big, but if we hold 25K, it's not that big. I want to keep that in mind. And then we can look at Bloom Energy. Thank you for the super chat. You can always holler at us. Sometimes you can just, like a lot of people will do this, and you just add us, and then I see all of those. There's an NQ above that 25,000. Meta's gone green, as people are saying to me, and that makes it really easy. But we can look at Bloom, which has gone Bloom, for lack of a better expression. This stock, if we talk about things that are structurally cool, this is a structurally cool setup. That being said, if you look at any kind of a trend that I were to draw, even if you were to pull back, like even if we bounce here, right? Like if you look at when it did this hefty pullback, that's where I'd start the first trend line. Even with a bounce, needs to clear 118. These are the things that sometimes, is it still bullish just because it held the 50-period moving average? It's in the no man's land after a big turn and went way too parabolic. So I don't, until you break 118, you got yourself a bounce. Like I'd be scalping out of that one instead of holding, because to me, you've still broken the trend. And 1 day of bounce, right before the open, you heard me say I care more about what we do on Monday than what we do today. Just because the market's trying to go green today, even if it gets green. Heck, yesterday I was like voting that the market was green at the close. And even I still won short today. I think Monday matters more. I think we'll find more about this market and whether this is an actual bounce that can sustain Monday morning more so than today. But that's just my 2 cents. Usually when we get these kind of moves, Friday is a bit of a chop fest. We'll see if we can even hold on to the gains by the afternoon. And then Monday morning, that's when you know the goods.
Yeah, the BE, I'm just pulling it up as well, man. Absolute strength on the day today. But yeah, bigger picture, that's a good point out. We've been kind of selling off aggressively for a decent chunk of the week. So do we see some reversion? Well, it came in today. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all strong red days. Does it make sense that we're straight up green today? Yeah, I think so. Bigger picture, that kind of balance is coming in here. Maybe too oversold on the weekly and catching a bit of a bounce here on Bloom Energy. So yeah, blooming to the upside off of the open. Bigger picture, still well within range here as well. So, okay, so random sandals with the super chat here. Who is the best 007? I think Neil can better answer this question.
Connery.
Should be the first question at a job interview. If the applicant doesn't answer Connery or Craig, then the interview should end right there. They're obviously underqualified.
Yes. I mean, why even comment on a perfect super chat? Thank you so much.
Oh, hey.
What up, Joey? Oh, this is a good one, Hamster. Yeah, that's a good point. Where is it? Hamster, explain to them Friday is market makers option plays and not real. Yeah, so... Well, they call it not real.
What does that mean?
But that's not the way that I would frame it. But you have a lot of price action on a Friday, which simply has to do with essentially the options market settling itself, right? So a lot of the money that gets traded, especially at the open, like in this first hour or two, really might not actually reflect like the overall direction of institutional money for the next like month or so, or like what we think about the next move in the market. It just has more to do with a lot of options expiring. So let's be, I mean, it's not to say that price action doesn't matter on a Friday. It's just that I put more weight to it when we start next week. There's something actually happening Monday news-wise that's big. Like the big thing happening next week is on Wednesday, I believe. NVIDIA earnings are on Wednesday.
Oh, yeah.
That's what matters. I mean, let's be real. If NVIDIA doesn't give us the goods, we're in trouble. Like this report needs to be good for NVIDIA. And it's only up 0.3. Like look at yesterday's range. How good does anybody feel that this is automatic, that we're holding green here? Like we're still teetering that 25K. So like I'm still in the one short that is not breaking the top, and I'm still waiting for a chance for reversion. Like we could still close this 15-minute bar rejecting this. We haven't really formed a good trend on a 15-minute for the Nasdaq, but we're still not that far away from breaking away from 25,000 in the wrong direction. For now, it looks like it's strong.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, man. Like, NVIDIA needs to perform well if we want to continue to see what it's like.
Say the least.
Continue doing what it's been doing. But the thing is, I look at the yearly, right? This is just the yearly. This is a weekly chart on the yearly. I have it measured from the opening week, January, first week of January, to the current price. Right now, we are up roughly about 26% on the year on NVIDIA, right? If you're talking from the lows to the highs, yeah, sure, that's almost double. That's more. That's a lot more. But just from the open, say you got in at the open, you're holding it right now. You're up about 26% on your position now. If you ask me, do we have room to the downside? I think of course. Like we're making. If you look at this on a yearly, we've made a bottom wick. We're starting to make a top wick. The question becomes: is this setting up as a doji on the year with only a couple of months left? Right? Let's just take a look at a 12-month chart here and see how we're ending off. Because right there, a little bit of a, top wick, bottom wick. But if you look at a 12-month chart here, Neil, on NVIDIA, what does this chart tell you? What does this 12-month chart tell you on NVIDIA? Line go up? I don't know. Range? Yeah, for sure, well within range. But like I was kind of studying charts that kind of make their way to market leader status. Over time, a lot of these companies and a lot of these stocks, they have struggles. They have serious pullbacks. They have, 50, 60% pullbacks sometimes along the way as well. So the question becomes, if NVIDIA is really the leader of the future, and we're saying that AI is just in its infancy, the question becomes, what is the volatility range on this on the bigger picture? I think we're well within range of pulling back aggressively or even continuing aggressively. I'm not bullish or bearish to say the least. I'm just saying the range is definitely, like, if we drop down 10, 15, 20% on earnings, that's well within range. Look at what we've done all year long.
And I actually am not sure that we do.
Volatility this year is,
I'm not sure that we do. Like NVIDIA has been moving like that off of earnings. Yeah. I think, whoops, oh, that's right. The last candle when I zoom out from that pre-split, but I think it might be more muted than you expect on the day. But the continuation after the fact might be a little bit violent. Like that's where my head's at with NVIDIA. Like it's been a chop fest around this price. So I could see us chopping it up on Wednesday and maybe even to an extent of that on Thursday and then maybe establish direction after that. But if you're at the 200 period moving average, like to me, some powder was dry by selling some AMD for the opportunity to potentially buy this one back at the 200 period moving average. Like that'd be a good one to have. But we'll see. I mean, all roads at the end of the day, long term, tend to lead higher. It's just a matter of what you like the most. Some people think these guys will tank on earnings. I don't hope that they will tank, but I will have a stink bid for the days after, that's for sure. So it was probably that whole 25,000 thing and then Apple failing ended up being wrong because even when we're underneath 25,000, Apple kept going up. But I did say if we fail the high and the Nasdaq closed some under the 25,000, I'd jump out of the trade. And now we're continuing to go higher. But this is the name that I liked long. So as long as we hold 25K, I'm going to look to buy dips in Apple for now. Strong rebound in the mornings market. That being said, we have seen this story before. You want to make sure you're still getting in and not just blindly buying into things as bullish as we're looking. Tesla trying to break 400.
400, man. I literally was just calling up 400.
But that's not even that's not even the afternoon high from yesterday. No. That's 404. And then you start thinking about the open range high. That's 415. Like all of these prices, even if you get back to them, how good does it really look to you? Do you feel better about Tesla just because we get back to here? It's not even bullish unless it's back above 420 or 430. Like that's what's crazy about this.
Yeah. No, I think it's Tesla's shown us the kind of range, and I've spoken on Tesla on this aspect before as well. If you look at just the price action, kind of have been following along the story of how Tesla got to where it is today. From a price action perspective, I think it's a stair-step squeeze. It's a textbook stair-step squeeze, like stair-stepping price action, squeezing every time we kind of break out. Absolutely beautiful, but we'll talk a little bit more about that right after you get back from Adara.
I want to start with some news. Keep an eye on JP Morgan. A couple minutes ago, U.S. President Donald Trump shared a post on Truth Social in which he listed a number of people and institutions that he would like the Department of Justice to look into with regards to potential relationships with Jeffrey Epstein. One of those institutions is JP Morgan. So keep an eye here on JP. I'm not moving too much, but potentially something to be aware of. And if I get details, I'll keep you posted. I want to talk here about the sector map because finance here, speaking of JPM, is actually weak across the board. And one of the, I think, the most notably weak-looking sectors. Health tech also really red, though Eli Lilly really trying to hold up. Merck doing well as well, announcing that acquisition of Sedera Therapeutics this morning. Producer manufacturing, a little bit mixed. GEV strong, but LRCX and earnings day one play AMAT are relatively weak. Consumer services weak, consumer non-durables weak, health services, commercial services, utilities, lots of weakness. Tech, though, really trying to recover here. I mean, you've got like Intel still red, Netflix still very much red, but across these sectors, there's some notable strength in Arista Networks, Micron, Oracle, Palantir, and even Microsoft. So mixed play in a lot of these tech names, but I think some of the most directional sectors here are going to be finance, producer manufacturing, and consumer non-durables. Back to you.
Yes, as always, thank you, Adara. So another setup is coming in here. Just got to wait for it. Left a bit on board of MARA for the run back into the high. Bounced all the way to VWAP. Then was holding for the low of the day. We break the top, I'm out. If we hold the top, I look for the trend break to jump back into the trade, or reload the trade is the best way to put it, because I haven't really gotten out of all of it as this market continues its curl higher. What's interesting about this, at least to me, is it's a bit like Bitcoin. We've been making higher highs for a while in the Nasdaq and ES2, and Bitcoin's just kind of holding the high. That's why it's the one thing that I stayed in. Like the way I look at it is, you should only constantly be in the thing that is holding the trend or holding true to what you were looking for as a trade. Everything else, if it's not, then you should be jumping out of it for sure. But we did have a good question that I wanted to get to, and that was RIVN Millionaire. Probably don't want to look at RIVN today. Actually, you might want to look at RIVN today. What date or when date are you guys releasing your teaching program? So if you're asking about the Academy, then right now there's no firm release date, but we're looking at possibly as soon as December. So that's the idea. So if anyone that's been following, you know that we trade on a prop floor, and that we have software that we were trained on and a training program that everybody follows here at Real Trading, where Sean and I, years and years ago, I won't say how many, started as traders. Well, the Academy is about getting the same learning process, both learning the basics in the market, order entry, your platform, market structure, market rules, trading psychology, the imbalance, literally everything. We talk about imbalances, we talk about halts. Like everything that you would need is the basics for trading, which we always talk about here, but is going to be available. So right now it's loosely looking as early as December. There isn't a firm date on it. Thank you for asking, RIVN Millionaire. And only because we just mentioned your name, why not look at RIVN? Oh, this kind of sucks. I was really hoping for everyone that likes RIVN's sake that this would be breaking out. You see the Nasdaq about to go green, and there's a seller here holding. This is very similar to what I see on Bitcoin and MARA, where this is it's hanging on as the one remaining short because it's not breaking out the top. It's still setting up a resistance level. That's exactly what RIVN's doing. Doesn't mean it can't break out. Maybe this is just a late breaker, and you wait for that to happen, and you can hammer that one to the long side. That said, RIVN was so strong recently that I suppose the buyers aren't as enthusiastic to come back in. But if you break that top, there's a bit of a gap fill scalp here. Like if you take out 1588, you get in there, grab yourself 15, 20, 30 cents, which is great. Think about this. On a $16 stock, that break to here is almost 2%. As a trader, that's how you have to think about it. That's a 2% little vacuum if this catches up with the rest of the market. That's not bad at all. They're on RIVN. Not that you're interested in RIVN Millionaire, but for anybody that might be.
Yeah, something that just caught my attention as of right now is Circle, and that is ripping to the upside. So I was watching it a little bit earlier. The market is aggressively strong, 403s on Tesla. So I was like, 400 could be a bit of an interesting level. And we chopped it for a few minutes and then now blowing right past it as the market continues to push even higher here. So let's take a quick look at Circle because that's what's catching my eye as of right now, about to push through its day highs as well. So it was sold off pretty aggressively. Chop, 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 barcode between 82s and 81.50s for about, what is this, 45 minutes. Aggressive bid. I don't even know if this is any sort of a news catalyst or anything like that. It's not, the volume signature isn't really there.
Baird upgraded them this morning.
Okay, so they did get some upgrades this morning, but this bid just now at 10:30, just coming in very aggressively after this consolidative hold. It seems like, Neil, there was a bit of a held offer here at 82s, and when that held offer gets taken out, we are just off to the races all the way back through the opening range highs. Pre-market highs at 85.85. Currently trading at 84.95s here on Circle, making a full circle of its price action on the day today. But another name that has been selling off pretty aggressively, right? Earnings day 3 is the name today. So day 1, sold off, closing near day lows. Day 2, sold off, closing near day lows. Today, sellers come in pretty aggressively off open, but we cannot really get distinctly past prior day's closing prices, and a beautiful reversion coming in with alongside the rest of the market as of right now here on Circle. Didn't really have any trades on this as of right now, but Apple coming in, the market's coming in. So where are the longs? I was only taking shorts today, Neil, and it seems like I was very wrong on that. Got to find where the next trade is.
Man, you could be, like, I had a long, but I was still wrong on it.
Yeah, no, it's not about being right or wrong or like being green or red. I'm just saying I was wrong on the dominant idea today. Right? I did take my short scalps. Like, those are fine. I'm not, you know.
Well, Glaze just said Apple 260. That's oddly specific. Glaze in the chat saying 276.81 as a target. Why that price? That's not even yesterday's high. The high is like 276.70 from yesterday. That's a very, very specific price. I'd say possible. Like, you're rounding it. There hasn't been a dip since we broke that 25,000. There hasn't really been a dip to get into. So I'm not really, at this time of day, I'm not buying any highs. It's just not my cup of tea. If I get along, it'll be this one on a, I think, eventual dip. It almost has to. Rigetti is still going ham. Look at that one off the volume weighted average price. Oh, because that's what he bought it at? Well, then even, okay, that's also kind of random too. That's entirely possible. Anytime I see a price, well, my first thought is, well, maybe there's a key level that I'm not aware of, so I go check it out, right? Well, you always have to be willing to learn. If you're hollering at a price, then I want to know the reason you like that price. Maybe I do, maybe I don't, but I could see something that I'm not seeing before, and I'm always open to that. So there was never a good reload setup. You can make the argument on MARA that you had this topping tail candle to jump into it. I just, you know what, call it a gut feel. Most times I'm in this short, but then I looked at the buying that was coming into MARA on the subsequent candle and decided not to take it. So I end up not reloading that short. I'll wait very, very patiently for this to either break trend or get to 13 bucks. Otherwise, there's not going to be anything for that short again on MARA. However, and when I'm at something, then I go into something else. And that's that Beyond Meat. So remember Beyond Meat, what do we say, $1.25? It went to $1.23. That's pretty close, and now trying to put in a double top. If it rejects a lower high, then you know what I'm going to do here. I'm going to look short underneath that particular high. Might not even get this Apple. And oh yeah, the other thing I was mentioning was RIVN. If RIVN breaks out, which it is right now, I'm taking that scalp long.
Yeah, I'm looking at this breakout here on potentially on Micron Micron as well. Micron came right back to its highs there, Sharif. Yeah, beautiful strength in this market. VWAP couldn't really get all the way down to VWAP, so I liked the short initially on the 250 back through. But if you're going to rip all the way back up after looking that weak, guess what? Definitely there's going to be participants that are a little bit offside. Now just looking for the price action to follow through and give us that confirmation as well here on Micron. Market super strong as well. Do we get that follow through? Is it going to be clean? I don't know. Probably not. But I'm watching some Micron right now. What's going on, Adara?
Yeah, we have a couple news stories that this market does not really seem to be reacting specifically to any of them, but I want to mention them because they all focus on specific tickers. We'll start here with JP Morgan. CNBC reporting that the company has won its fight with some of these fintech firms over paying fees in order to access customer data. Affirm not really moving on this. PayPal, SoFi, those are all the different plays you could check with regards to this story, and they're ones that actually pushed lower initially. But yeah, again, it looks like that JP Morgan Chase has won its fight with these fintech firms with regards to fees in order to access customer data. Keep an eye on Pinterest as well. This one also not really reacting here, but I'm seeing reports suggesting that Saudi's PIF fund has dissolved their stake in Pinterest. Back to you.
I don't think that's what it is, but maybe, I don't know. Oh, okay. I thought it was like a drink. Okay.
I don't know what Sharif and Obi are talking about right now.
No. It's the opposite of what? I don't know. Sharif's cracking up. No, I honestly thought it was something else, and then I thought it was a drink.
Okay, so first of all, no, because the viewers need to know what was going on just now.
Yeah.
Sharif turns to Obi and says, "Are you trying that?"
Have you tried that Maui Wowie?
Okay, have you tried that Maui Wowie? To which my brain went to a certain place, which was apparently wrong. I think you all can guess what that was. And I still have no idea what they were talking about, by the way.
No,
But
I mean, I don't know. I was just like, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I thought it was a drink. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure I've tried a Maui Wowie, but no, it might be a little.
But that's what I guessed. You said it's green. That's what I thought you.
I didn't hear what you said. Sorry. So if that's what you said, you're right.
Of course. You say Maui Wowie. I know what's up.
Listen, man, the only drug I'm getting high on is this market right now, and the market is definitely getting higher and higher with this bid, pushing through that 25,000, man. That's my drug of choice right here, the Nasdaq and ES and constituents thereof. Yeah, 252s here on Micron, potentially pushing once again. It is not clean. It's a little choppy, but a little bit of offside is what I'm looking for here. And Tesla, aggressive, 405s now, Neil. This thing continues to push up. We tried the short off of the open. Didn't really, well, the short worked, but the price action didn't because it continued to the upside. Tried once more. Didn't try again on the third one, but that finally breaks through that 400. 405s coming in with absolute market strength, pretty much wiping back what we did in the overnight session here as of right now, but still a lot more ways to go if we're going to recover some of yesterday's price action as well. So about a 50% retracement of yesterday's plus the overnight session selling that we've got here on the Nasdaq. So interesting area that we're coming into, and it might confluence with this area with that 25,000 as well. So I got eyes on. I'm closely watching this. Where's the next trade? That's what I'm watching as well. Things are aggressively strong. If you were taking the long, I think the morning session or earlier on in the morning session, even some of the VWAP holds that we got around 10:15, 10:30, those were the places to get involved for this second leg here as well. So we saw that wick action of that 25,000 on the Nasdaq and then pull back into 24.9s and then rip right back in. So a nice consolidation and continuation action happening here on the markets. Coming in, I was just like, okay, are we going to see aggressive selling coming into the day today? Not really, man. Coming into the day, yes. Off the open, absolutely not, because that bid is still very long and strong as of right now, carrying a lot of this market on its back. So strong week of selling, some reversion coming in at the end of the week, Neil.
It seems like it, and looks like some reversion coming to the one thing that has worked pretty well, and that's going to be MARA, because Bitcoin is still underneath and not really going crazy. A bit of a fake out at the highs just there. So a little fake out, broke the highs, jump out, break the trend again, jump back in. I'm just looking up to make sure, well, I know what just happened in Beyond Meat. You know this stock, it doesn't care what the market does. It doesn't really matter. Like I said, if it puts in a lower high, I'm going to take it short. The second I tried to hit that bid of support, you can already see it dropping back. I'm going to leave it in there. Maybe they pick me up at 18, but try to hit that bid. Was this? No, it's not SSR. Yeah, so it's not why I missed the fill. Anyways, going to see if we can sit there at 118, kind of give it to that high and pull back in there. I think we're getting a little bit of a potential dip and trend break on Apple. I'm treating this as an opportunity to potentially get in to a dip, break this trend, look for a support level to come in, either 73 or VWAP, and then jump back into that trend. No breakout trade yet on RIVN, but if Tesla keeps on doing what it's doing, I think the sympathy break is almost inevitable. Just watch out, because we're about to go to money talks, and Tesla, as strong as it is, it's only now gotten to afternoon resistance. Like, it's it. We're at yesterday afternoon's resistance level, and this just went green. Let's go to Adara, see how the US dollar is doing, come back and figure out, well, I already know what's for lunch.
US dollar actually having quite a good day. I've discussed this yesterday, I believe. We have these nice runs up, multi-day runs up in the DXY, then we have these pushes back down, and then it repeats the cycle. So to put it plainly, we're still in an uptrend from the US dollar from when we made this base on September 17th, or in other words, the FOMC meeting for September 2025. Now, speaking of the FOMC, we have to talk about the CME FedWatch tool, because Sean and I were discussing this in the recap. He and I also both discussed it during the day as well. We're about 50-50 split with regards to if we're getting a Fed rate cut on December 10th. That is less than a month away, and the more Fed speak we get, the more that these Feds seem to be A, kind of split, and B, not really sure how they're feeling yet with regards to that rate decision. Fed Schmidt said that he's still considering if he wants to go for that December cut. We also know that he voted against the cut in October, so he's already known as of right now for being a little bit more hawkish than his peers. The overwhelming concern here is going to be labor market data. So if we can get some kind of employment data ahead of the Fed meeting, as I've said yesterday, I believe that's probably the most likely thing to potentially influence. But either way, we're 50-50 right now, and we don't have any data today. We just have a lot more Fed speak. Stay tuned later in this afternoon as well, because before the end of the day, we're going to get Fed's Logan and Fed's Bostic. Back to you.
Rich Buddy says, so much for the accuracy of the prediction markets. Well, we'll find out, because the prediction markets differ from what the Fed rate tool is saying. And I think that's a good thing for traders, ultimately, because it'll create more volatility, potentially. When more uncertainty creates more volatility. But it might not be the best thing here for the markets. Only about 4 minutes to go. We throw you to Mr. Maui Wowie and Joey Options over there. And I have a good feeling about the lunch today.
Okay.
A pretty good feeling. Because the last time we had this, it's not sandwiches, Assassino.
I wish.
That was just Andre in my ear. It's not sandwiches. However, it is a beef fajita. Mexican rice, diced tomatoes, sour cream, green onions, shredded cheese with a corn salad. It's kind of hard. You can't really screw that up very much. You really can't. It's hard to screw that up. It's usually pretty good. It should be pretty good. It'll always be about the portions. That's all. Am I going to still be hungry? Probably. After I eat. We get a salad, we'll usually get that on the side. And we're all just happy it's not beef stroganoff or tilapia.
Dude, no, the beef stroganoff is not bad. I don't know why you guys hate on the beef stroganoff. It's good. Not bad at all.
First of all, no, it is not that good. But no, it's not that good.
You guys are way too picky about your food. Y'all never been hungry before.
Oh, we got a super chat that I wanted to get to. From Scuba Scoots. You know what's hilarious? I can't even... Sean and I went to high school together. One of our buddies in our football pool, his nickname in school, we called him Scuba Vicky. He's on the swim team. We used to clown him for being on the swim team. And you know what? I probably shouldn't tell the full. There's more to it, but it's probably not cool. He'd be mad at me. So shout out to Scuba Scoots. MGRX, a false 8K. Will the broker unwind? Okay, so first of all, I don't know the story. Here, so what is it?
False 8K.
This company really called Mangoceuticals?
Mangoceuticals?
Yes, this company is actually called Mangoceuticals. It's regardless of what the story with this stock, I immediately like it because of the name. I love mangoes. That's fantastic, but this looks really, really bad. Do you have a story on this, Adara?
So there is, and it's kind of a weird one. So we know, and I just want to preface this with the fact that we know these weight loss drug companies, Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk, every single time we get some kind of talk about, any of these like Hims and Hers, MGRX, being like over offering our products, then we have Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk coming out and saying, we don't know her. So that happened. I mean, it doesn't impact the fact they're offering the products. They always just want to make it very clear, we are not affiliated with the company. More or less, they announced that they're offering the products, and then Eli Lilly and Novo said, nah, we don't know you. So it's the same thing that happened with Hims and Hers, but with a much smaller company, more or less.
Gotcha. Thanks for that update. Yeah, this looks pretty bearish to me too. look at the rejection candle yesterday, then the flat bottom break, the attempted bounce to get back and fill the gap, the absolute, I shouldn't say the failure, but it did reject filling that gap here and putting in a lower high. Could also break trend, but no volume, 1.7 million shares in volume. Like, it's easy to say, well, then why would you like Beyond Meat, which is a similar setup, over that? Well, Beyond Meat's done 85 million shares worth of volume, and that one's done 1.7 million shares of volume. That breaks all ties. One of the things that I always say in day trading is you don't want to practice or develop or work on a strategy that is not scalable. Like, whatever you do as a trader, especially as a day trader, you want it to be a setup or a strategy that you can scale. So sometimes if it's trading like a penny stock, in this case it's a really cheap stock, then you're going to trade the ones and develop on them that are 80 million shares or 100 million shares over the ones that are 1 or 2 million shares. Which ones do you think you can scale up and which ones can't you? So that'll break the tie for me personally, but I'm not even in Beyond Meat. I did re-enter the trade into MARA. Whoops, why was that getting, get rid of that? That was this trend line that broke. So re-entered the trade into MARA when it broke. Prior bar is the out. VWAP is the target. I will again take only 2/3 out of it. Want to see if this one can follow through, just because of the relative weakness that this name has. So with only about, oh shoot, it's already 11 o'clock.
It's already 11. That Micron break, man.
Pull up Micron.
I mean, I have it right here. So
where is it? Oh,
right
there it is.
So right here.
Go to OB charts for a second.
Look at this breakout. So I took the initial push, and then I saw this consolidation. I'm like, okay, I'm not necessarily in full size just yet, but trying to make good decisions here as well. Consolidates in the upper quartile after kind of pulling all the way back down to VWAP. Consolidates above this structure here where the strong selling came in for that VWAP push, and then now pushing even higher. So that 250, was it 251.80s, I think was that prior high. I was just like, if this breaks, then we could potentially catch people offside here as well. And it gave you like just over, was it $1, $2? I don't even know. It gave you the move. I'm not even measuring how many dollars. It's just all about the price action here as it continues. If the buyers are still there, I want to stay involved. And if the sellers are not, then I just want to say, thank you, come again. But I think, 11 o'clock right now. So we're going to pass you guys over to the midday show. It's been an absolutely crazy morning, Neil. Absolutely wild. Market with some crazy, crazy strength.
Yes.
But without any further ado, we'll send you guys over.
Get that Maui Wowie.
Take it easy, guys.
I don't know why we were saying Maui Wowie, but
I don't know. I haven't tried it.
Get it, Sharif.
Sharif definitely has.
Maui Wowie. Oh my.
Boom! Greetings and salutations, beautiful people. Welcome to the midday show. That right